Guys, we found another playable character. You will never believe who we found. We have Optimist Fields himself. Yes, Opti of Simply Bitcoin fame. He and Nico run the show there, and they are two of the really, I think, some of the smartest guys in the space. They're so well rounded when it comes to whether it's numbers, macro, mathematics, but also the geopolitics and in the philosophy. Opti is in the philosophical realm and is really truly one of the brightest people out there when it comes to thinking about whether it's family, hard work. You're going to talk about religion in this and how it all comes together, and the nature of Bitcoin and how it realigns incentives in the world. It's truly in this sea of non-playable characters. It's such a cool talk from the perspective of someone who had his life going a certain way that he wasn't exactly proud of. And he is a phenomenal example of how you can change, how someone can change, how a human can change. And it's the mindset. And you're going to see why he has the name Optimist Fields. And it really is apropos. And it's a testament to someone changing their mindset and leading the charge and being the best version of themselves, what God's called them to be, so that way they can lead other people and take that walk together, as he says. So I hope you enjoy this. A playable character, something not often that we see in this world, of people that can think for themselves and actually be their own unique version of human that they're put on this earth for. Not many people can do it, unfortunately, these days. Opti is one of those people. In the sea of non-playable characters, he is a true playable character, someone thinking for himself, someone using his higher faculties, his God-given abilities to set himself apart and be a leader among men. Enjoy.
Optimist Fields, my brother, thank you for joining me today. And I appreciate it so much. It's been a while in the making. So thanks, brother. Thanks for coming on.
Dude, no worries. I'm hyped for this. You hang out with me basically every single day on Twitter Spaces. So, hey, I return the favor, you return the favor. And like we were just saying, man, it's all about just spreading that Bitcoin signal and hopefully waking more people up because, hey, I don't know if they're noticing, but shit's kind of crazy right now.
Things are happening at breakneck speed. I mean, even the spaces today was awesome. And we were just joking around that some of the spaces can't go down the road too much, but I know we throw around the conspiracy word sometimes, but it's and we said at the beginning of the year, this is the death of the conspiracy theory this year. I remember like the first week of the year we talked about this on Simply. This is the death of the conspiracy theory, which emanated from 1963-64 when JFK was assassinated. So that was when it came on, and now 60 years later it's going away. We're sunsetting the term. So congratulations to everybody.
I mean, at this point, like, I only use the word conspiracy theory kind of to like alleviate the normie mind, because it's like, hey, I know I'm outside the Overton window for everyone, but at least in like our circles, we're like, what are you talking about? Like, we've just been right this whole time. We're just ahead of the curve. And I think a lot of the things we talk about are still outside of the Overton window, but as we're seeing right now, that it's literally happening in real time, like the fall of the corporate press, as I was talking about, or I always talk about, the $1 trillion PSYOP campaign against the truth. We're seeing all that crumble in real time. And I think more people are waking up. It's something we talk about all the time. Human psychology is very strange, and humans need to feel pain for them to change their behavior. Well, I think on that same tip, like the authoritarians and the tyrants have pushed a little too hard. And now the average person is waking up, not just us that are, gladly calling ourselves extremists for so long. We're just like, okay, well, hey, I guess everyone else is seeing what I see as well. So
Hey, really quick, I want to annoy the hell out of you with a quick little break to just remind you that we have to share the signal within the noise, because the algorithms hate truth. The algorithm hates truth. So we have to do all that we can to spread the signal. The faster we do that, the quicker change comes to the world. We need to be the change we seek to be. What are we doing? What am I doing? What are you doing to build a future? Also, if you want a written version of a lot of what we do here, please go to the description and find the link to our blog, our Substack, as well as you will see many links to either the work or the companies places you can find all the playable characters here that we talk to and how you can connect with them. So now back to the show. Thank you.
I think it's only a matter of time we see more people wake up to what we know to be the truth. And again, it's something we talk about all the time in Twitter Spaces, is the idea of just how fast information is moving in the world today. You know, we all have internet, we all have supercomputers in our pocket. We are the media now. And I think all of us having these conversations, whether it's on Twitter or Telegram group or whatever social media platform, or even just in person with people, the information, the truth is spreading at an incredible speed, and it's almost impossible to keep up with it. And like we talked about today, the only way they can keep up with it is by bombarding you with so much noise that you don't know what signal is. And especially for us, is bombard you with so much noise that even if you do know the truth, you start to doubt yourself. And that's where it gets really tricky.
Yes.
That's when you're like, oh my goodness, okay, like no one is susceptible to propaganda. Like we are all, or no one is or not susceptible to propaganda. We are all susceptible to propaganda. And it's just understanding these mechanisms at work and doing our best to make our own propaganda.
Yeah, it is. We're in an everything war. You know, we talk about the everything bubble, but now it's the everything war. It's culture war. You know, we're going to see cyber war, which we already see, I guess, but in a large scale, bio war, seeing all kinds of stuff, culture, you know, just cultural, psychological, everything, and information war. So I think that's, you know, it's funny. I watched you know, now we're talking about all this, and I watched the Andrew Tate thing the other day, the 4 or 5 hour thing, and you know, it's just funny because like most people will never even give. They'll just like, you know, like, brush that person aside. But you know, I want to go back and watch. I haven't watched the Hotez thing, that doctor. I haven't watched his original Joe Rogan thing. I want to see his side of the story. But I think that's like I find that with Bitcoiners, and I'm sure you do too. And this is where like you've done this now for a few years and talked to a lot of people. So it's got to be like, what's one of the things that you've learned actually? I'm really curious to think about this earlier today, knowing I was going to talk to you. Like, what is something you've been learning when whatever it is? But like when you see these Hotez all the way over to an Andrew Tate, and like you come across these people on Twitter Spaces, what is something you kind of learned or resharpened or refined, I guess, yourself, or maybe some aha moments where you're like, man, wow, I didn't think of it that way, or just the way people thought about things. I think that like you kind of get to aggregate data in a way because you're talking to a lot of people, you're seeing a lot of headlines, you're in the news a lot, and you're talking to a lot of people. I think that's kind of invaluable in a way. And I think that's why people tune in, quite honestly, because you get to like come to a source, come to Opti, Nico, whatever, or an Alex Stanzik and say, hey, this guy's heard a lot of things. And I kind of take that and I can kind of, you know, shortcut it in a way, right? So what do you think on being just regarding that and just the kind of how the last few years have gone, just even in the content world for you?
Yeah, so I have a few thoughts and hopefully I don't forget them when I start ranting. But my first thought is one thing I realize personally is more just like how bad I am at communicating my personal ideas and just working towards being as eloquent.
Forgive me for being a man.
Yeah, exactly. Being as eloquent and not only eloquent, but like having good storytelling skills, because I'm starting to realize like the best way to orange pill people is not with facts and figures and doom, gloom, and porn, you know, doom porn and all that stuff that we constantly talk about. Like what works for me isn't what works for the average person, because look, not to like toot my own horn or, you know, blow smoke up your ass, but I don't think we're normal people. In the, you know, best way of saying that and the worst way of saying that, you know, like I do believe that maybe, you know, being very self-critical, but also like having high self-esteem, like we are above average in regards to maybe our mental faculties, or just like what we're into is just like we're in a niche space. And so I'm starting to realize that what got me to fall in love with Bitcoin isn't what's going to get other people to fall in love with Bitcoin. And so I've said this a lot of times on Twitter Spaces and even on our show, Simply Bitcoin. And is the idea of, I read How to Win Friends and Influences. I didn't even read the whole book. I read like the first 100 pages or something. But the one thing I took away is the idea of it's like a metaphor. It's a heuristic that they use in the book. It's bait the fish, or bait the hook for the fish you're trying to catch. And this is what I'm starting to realize. And we say it all the time, like we're in the battle for the hearts and minds of the masses. And connecting these two ideas is like, all right, well, what's the best way to get this Bitcoin message across to people is what I boil down all the time in Twitter spaces is the idea of like, look, get your mind right, get your body right, get your finances right. And then while you do all that, you know, if you are a spiritual religious person, like get yourself in order so that everything else flows afterwards. And I boil everything down to the best way to spread this message is by being the walking poster board for the message that you're talking about. Like live what you're talking about. Like live that, you know, reality that you talk about all the time. Like quit LARPing about it. And hence why I'm like, okay, everyone wants to live a good life. This is my fundamental moving point. My basic heuristic is everyone wants to live a good life, and anyone that's awake, you know, once you get past like 18, maybe 20, you usually get slapped in the face with reality, and you're like, holy shit, life is a lot tougher than I thought it was. I no longer can live in this, you know, padded baby world that my parents
bubble.
allowed for me. Yeah, the little, you know, the bubble boy meme, you know, like, oh wow, like I have to figure some shit out. And I'm convinced that everyone wants to live a good life, but most people just don't know how to do that. We're stuck in the rat race. We are bombarded with the psyop against truth, against you being an independent, freedom-minded person. They want you to basically just be a slave, you know, follow what your masters tell you, own nothing and be happy. And I think there's a lot of us humans, and maybe we're the minority. Maybe this is me just, you know, echo chamber confirmation bias thinking, where I think humans fundamentally want freedom and they seek it, and they just don't know that it's okay for them to step out of the line and do different things and think different thoughts, because no one wants to rock the boat. Everyone's like, okay, we are tribal beings and we want to get along. Like I am convinced that most humans are good people. They just don't understand that, okay, you know, like always being compliant is probably not the best way to move forward. And I think we've seen since 2020 that being overly compliant, not basically trusting your own faculties and your own facilities and your own thinking is a very dangerous thing. And I think everyone, at least to some extent, is starting to wake up to this. And you mentioned the Joe Rogan Hotez thing. And the thing that kind of struck me as interesting is I'm realizing, and kind of circling back to originally, I'm starting to realize like we are in a culture war right now, and I think this is very obvious to any of us, but it's boiled down in the meme of like cultural Marxism, you know. They realize that cultural Marxism doesn't work on a class level, it doesn't work on a race level. So now where we're at, it's like divide and conquer based on gender politics and gender identities. And we're in a world right now where everyone is fighting each other. Like no one is willing to listen to each other. And I think we are starting to see hope, especially I kind of got this idea when I saw Bill Ackman respond to the Joe Rogan call out of Hotez, where he's like, yeah, you
he's
know,
the AI guy, right?
Yeah,
the Chat GPT guy. Yeah,
I think he's I don't know, he's a VC. I forget what other company
I think Ackman's the Open AI guy. I'm pretty sure.
He might be. He's one of those Silicon Valley VCs. I forget what his company is, but he's super rich, and he also funded a lot of companies that we know and probably use and love.
Yeah.
But one of the things he said, which was very interesting to me, was the idea of everyone is so entrenched in their position that we're all just yelling back and forth at each other. And again, I could only really think of it as like the divide and conquer tactics. It's everyone is falling for the divide and conquer tactics because we all think we are correct. And no one wants to change their thinking. Like, dude, I trust you me, I am the first one to tell you, like, I fucking hate authority figures telling me what to do. I hate anyone telling me what to do. And I know this is like my stubbornness. This is my Achilles heel, is like, I'm pretty much like, you can tell me what to do and I will probably do it the opposite just because you tell me. So like if you tell me what you don't want me to do, I'll probably do what you want me to do, but just because like I'm that stubborn, you know. But I'm seeing that this is where we are right now. Like everyone is so entrenched in their position that no one is listening to the other side, and no one is open-minded enough to be like, oh well, maybe you do have a point, maybe I am wrong in my thinking. And I think this is what a lot of us Bitcoiners do. It's like we listen to the other side, whether we agree with you or not is a totally different ballpark. But like we'll hear you out for the most part. Most people, you know, that aren't autistic Bitcoiners, they'll hear you out and be like, ah, no, I don't think you're right. Like, sorry, but I still disagree with you. I will still treat you with some kind of class and dignity and respect, but that doesn't mean I have to agree with you. And then there's other people that are like, oh, if you don't agree with everything I'm saying, like you're a bad person. And personally, I'm like, nah, I don't think that that's where we are right now. But anyways, back to the tweet by Bill Ackman. He's all like, I was entrenched in my position. I didn't want to hear the opposite side, but I finally gave it a moment with open ears and open mind, and I heard it out for once. And I think we can kind of come back to the idea like we have a lot more in common than we do in differences. And I'm kind of you know, not to be like optimistic, you know, kumbaya moment, but I'm starting to realize like we all have a lot more in common than we have difference. And like we're really fighting over very small differences and we're destroying our society over tiny, tiny nuanced differences. And it's like, look, bro, like I don't care what you do. Just don't force your shit on me. I'm fine with this. And it might sound hypocritical considering that I'm like a Bitcoiner and my job is to be a Bitcoin evangelist. And I'm like, I have the best fucking money in the world saving it. It might seem like I'm pushing my ideals. Yeah, use my money. You know, it might be like I'm pushing my ideals on people, but I think most people fundamentally move from the idea of like, I think I know what's good for the world and I want other people to do what's good for themselves as well. And if I have some kind of dabbling of insight to this, like I want to spread this to people. And I think even if you're wrong, you still have that feeling of like, okay, I know what the correct way to do things is, and I know what's best. And you want to spread the memes. It's like back to memes. It's everything's memes. You know, everything is memetics. And we are in a memetic war right now. Like memetic warfare is real. And I know memes get a kind of a bad rap on Twitter because it's like we're just trolling and we're, you know, just kind of talking shit and having fun most of the time. But there is real power in the memetics, and powerful memetics spread truth. And we are in a memetic war right now. It's, or, you know, an information war. And I think this is like the truest thing ever to me, is this idea of, okay, first and foremost, you know, I have to bait the hook for the fish I'm trying to catch, or rather I have to make the right memes for the person that I'm talking to. I have to hit them in an angle that they can emotionally connect to, because this is back to the beginning. I don't think really the majority of people act purposefully based on logic and facts. They act purposely based on a feeling and an emotion, and they're chasing something that you can't, it's ephemeral. Like you can't really grasp what it is, but it's just like, I know what I want, you know, I have a dream of what my future can be like, and I'm chasing that. And is it logical sometimes? Probably not. Like I think humans act a lot more unconscious than we would like to acknowledge. And I'm just kind of like I'm trying to tap into those buttons where it's like, okay, what makes people act? What do people value? And how do I show them that maybe on the one hand I have better values with Bitcoin, or rather that it's something in Bitcoin that they can value as well? Because we all know the meme, like Bitcoin is for anyone, and it's the most inclusive fair money in the world, and it's permissionless and you don't have to ask anyone. And again, it doesn't rob from you, and I don't know anyone that doesn't want to get robbed from. I'm pretty sure all humans don't want to get robbed from, but I think it's back to a fundamental idea. Like I you know, kind of connect these ideas. Like one, I think Bitcoiners are bad at marketing first and foremost. And don't shoot the messenger, guys. Don't throw tomatoes.
True.
But I think we have the best technology, not only the best, but one of the most important technologies. And if people don't see that, then I think it's on us to do better at explaining that. And you and I have had this conversation. Is like, okay, maybe looking in the mirror and auditing our message, maybe we can do better. And maybe part of that doing better is just not LARPing so much on what you say, because hey, for better or worse, humans work a certain way. And if you look better, if you have your shit together, then your message comes across better. Like, yo, again, don't shoot the messenger, but people trust someone that's fit, that's good looking, that has their shit together. And then you show them, oh, the reason I got to this point was because of Bitcoin. Then more people are going to be open to that message than if you're, a fat slob that doesn't take care of himself, that, maybe has nothing going for them in their real life. So I really take that seriously. It's like, okay. And look, you even brought up Andrew Tate, and say what you want about Tate. A lot of people, is a very polarizing person, and a lot of people don't like him. A lot of people do like him, but I mean, he lives his message. He's rich, he gets women, he's got fast cars and status symbols and all the things that most men want. And he talks about men's health problems. And, maybe you have different hierarchy of values, but he's talking his own book in the sense like he's living his message. And I think that's what a lot of us Bitcoiners need to do. And not only living our own message, but also kind of like read the room. How many people in your normal life want to be living off the grid on some like doomer prepper, all the world's going to hell mentality? Like, no, people want to live a good life. People want to live a better life. Like most people don't want to just like live in a bunker with, stockpiled weapons and canned food. Like that's a small percentage. Yeah, I mean, hey, me too. But like, I'm starting to realize, like, okay, most people live in the cities for a reason. They like people. They like interacting with strangers. And I'm the same way. I've realized recently I'm a lot more extroverted than I thought I was. I thought I was introverted, but I'm starting to realize, like, I like interacting with people. And maybe it's back to the tribal nature of humanity. Again, I try my best to, reach people where they are, whether that's being on YouTube, whether that's mentally, psychologically, like humans are what they are. And I don't look at them as like an ideological, oh, they should act this way. I'm like, no, this is how they are. And, I try to do my best to just represent that message and try to talk to as many people as possible and see what people value. And I think that's the most eye-opening experiences. Everyone has a different value system, but we all project our own value system on everyone else. And it's like, take a step back. Oh, interesting. I value certain things and you probably value certain things. And there's probably some overlap there, but we won't know it until we start to communicate about this stuff. And if you're just instantly attacking the person you're talking about with a different perspective, you'll never get to the truth. And I had this like joking, but it's very serious meme to me, is the idea of like what Bitcoiners are doing here. And I still don't know how to fully explain this idea, but I keep thinking of like samurais and samurai warrior culture. And or gentleman culture of the 50s or whatever. Like there's like an unspoken principled warrior perspective of
like an ethos.
Like you're playing by the same rules as I'm playing, and I respect you because you understand those rules, and you don't have to speak them out. You already inherently know them because of, I don't know, your upbringing or whatever, God or whatever it is. But like there is a certain ethos and perspective that we are knowingly or unknowingly following, and it's like, oh, sir, like you are also a samurai and I see you and we are working in tandem based on the same rule set. And then we have like the people outside, they're like, oh, they're working by a totally different rule set. And that's why us Bitcoiners kind of like gravitate towards each other. We're like, okay, like you are also a warrior and you you are working by the same noble standards that I do, because you also acknowledge the human. You also acknowledge individual dignity. You also don't like theft. You also believe in personal choice and freedom. And you don't even need to say all that. It's just like, oh, you like Bitcoin. Like, oh, okay. So all that comes along with it. And then there's the other half, the other side of the aisle. We always talk about the individual versus the collective. Then there's the collective side of the aisle. It's like, oh, you believe in theft. Like you believe in taking other people's property. I fundamentally oppose that. And now we are mortal enemies. And I really kind of, angle it like good versus evil. And I know maybe we can go down all these different aisles and rabbit holes, but like, it really does feel like there's a battle between good and evil right now. And I really, hey, God God willing,
Absolutely.
I'm on the side of good. Like I really do believe I'm on the side of light, and I'm trying my best and doing my best to live up to my own internal code and my own standards, and hopefully there's more people out there that resonate with that. And hey, I don't know, man. I'm just a dude. I'm just a dude doing my best, man.
Hey, it's beautifully said, brother. I mean, it's, working off the non-aggression principle. You said so many gems in there, and that's one of them, which kind of ties back to even the beginning. But like religion, honestly, right? We have a real mass exodus from religion, for people going to church, or or what, some type of whether it's temple, I would guess, or church, or all those things, and a lot of like grace or humility emanates from those in between those walls, and people think like, oh, you're holier than thou or something like that. And it's like, no, I know I'm messed up. That's why I'm going there. It's a humility, it's a grace that you have, that you understand. No, I'm not perfect, and I have to go here to keep myself in check, or else I will be a psychopath. I will be like, we're men, like we're gonna be Genghis Khan. Like I'm gonna turn into Dan Bilzerian. Like I will do stupid things and go nuts. And it's like, and that's the trick to me, is being a successful man and raising a family and doing that all together, and staying within those ethos, within those boundaries, instead of just being Genghis Khan and just doing whatever I want when I want. And any man can go do that. And I think that's kind of easy in a way. Like you can just do whatever. Well, that's easy. I mean, but is that what God wants? Does he want you that, or the higher being want you to just go ransack everyone? I mean, I tend to think not, whether someone's religious or not. I think we probably can all kind of agree on that. And so anyway, I think that's a lot of it, where it's like you said, we all believe generally the same thing, and we just been brainwashed, all to just immediately attack and argue for whatever reason, just because, and to keep us divided and distracted, when we all believe the same thing. 95% of us believe the same thing. So
I'd agree.
So I think that's a huge thing. I always go back to, I think I said on space before too, in Michigan, we had the 2020 election where we had the proposal to get a warrant. It was, should we have a warrant to come search your online files? And it was like very simply stated. You know how proposals are, they're very like triple negative, stuff like that, and no one can figure them out. And it was 90 to 10 people say, yes, government should have a warrant to search my online presence. And it was like 90 to 10. I was like, are you kidding me? And then I'm like looking at the presidential, the Biden versus Trump. I'm like, there's got to be like half the people that voted, right? No, the same amount of people that voted, the exact same number, within like a couple thousand people. I was blown away. And it just showed you right there that if told correctly and just simply, people will choose freedom and liberty. And so that was one of those, a little bit anecdotal, but to me, it was just like, dude, we all think the same thing. I'm thinking since Occupy Wall Street and the Tea Party, two sides of the same coin. Like we're saying the same stuff. How come we're arguing? Like we're saying generally the same thing. So, or don't touch my body, right? Like don't touch my body. Don't tell me what to do with my body. That in the last couple of years too, right? So anyway.
Yeah. I want to touch on a few things. You reminded me of when you were in the spaces yesterday, and there was a lot of yelling and back and forth.
Yeah.
And it got really crazy, and everyone was having a good time, very entertained. And you basically said the same thing. It's like, look, guys, like we're all saying the same thing. Like everyone cool out a little bit, get your ego in check, like lower your voice a little bit. Like, we're saying the same thing either way. And I don't know, that you just reminded me of that. But another point of what you're talking about, I'm starting to kind of feel, and I think a lot of us feel the same way, that what's been happening to society for the last, I don't know, 60 years or what have you. And I'm guessing you're around the same age. I'm a millennial, early 30s.
Yep.
We're roughly around the same age. And we probably grew up relatively around the same kind of cultural society, everything. We're Americans. I grew up in America. We probably had pretty similar upbringings. And I think what we're seeing today is the idea that we see it all the time on Twitter is like we're being, what's the meme, like the weak man one, strong men create good times, good times give us weak men give us bad times, and bad times create strong men. It's weird to think which part of the cycle we're in. You can kind of go like the fourth turning perspective, but it really does seem like we are in the weak men give us bad times scenario. And maybe we are just a product of our society. And it's like, okay, whether I have been a degenerate in the past or not, like I think now is kind of one of those things where like, yo, it doesn't matter who you were in the past. It's like, can you rise up to the occasion right now? Because we need strong men in the world. And whether you fail or not, that truth still remains. Like, we need strong men in the world to right this ship, because we have been led by weak men for far too long. What's the meme you always say? It's a Plato one. If you aren't involved with politics, then you will be ruled by your
you'll be governed by your
inferiors.
fears. Yeah. Yep.
And this is what I think is happening, where a lot of people because I don't think what we're dealing with is new. I think a lot of the societal problems, our parents or their parents kind of saw, and people had choices, and we have the same choice today. It's like, and we talk about this all the time, whether it's politics or, your local community or your local township or whatever it is. It's like, you have a few choices. Do you completely opt out of it, ignore it, and just kind of go do your own thing? Well, I think our parents, and maybe it was our grandparents, they kind of did that. They ignored it, let other people run the shit. Like, let me get my kicks on Route 66. And,
times were good.
Times are good. Like, money's flowing, everything's fine. I don't have to deal with this shit. And then there's the other side where it's like, okay, you don't have a choice. You're gonna have to get involved either way, or else you're going to perish. Like, you need to adapt, or you're going to either continue to kick the can down the road and you're going to live a shitty existence, or it's like, hey bro, live up to the times, become the person you're supposed to be, live up to your full potential. Whether you fail or not, at least you tried. And I think that's what, like, a lot of us are feeling right now, where it's like, okay, the old me is dead. I've said this a lot before even Bitcoin. Like, I've killed off so many versions of myself. Like, I shed personalities like a snake sheds its skin. I have to evolve a lot, and I'm always like self-critical and auditing myself, and like, am I the best person I can be? Obviously, I probably didn't live up to my full potential as a child, and I'm having a late start at this because I'm like, wow, I have a great opportunity to become the very person I've always thought I can be. And it's like, man, weak men have left us with a crumbling society. Our future's been stolen, and obviously we're very pampered as people. Like, everything, we're on cell phones, like, everything is at the tip of a button. Like, we never have to suffer. I really like how Texas Slims always says it. He's like, engineer your own suffering or else someone else will. And I think that's where we're at right now. It's like, our suffering has been engineered by other people, the weak men, if you will. And society is basically calling, it's like the voice through the wind is basically saying, like, look, we need strong men in society, or else we will devolve into more degeneracy. And whether you can, live up to your potential, live up to the siren call or whatever, if you will, or the swan song, I think it would be, like, that's what we need. We need people to basically be like, all right, I've had enough. I will step up to the plate. Like, if not me, then who? And maybe I'm not the perfect person for this, but is this not how all men of every generation ever felt? Like, wow, like, I am a flawed human. How am I the fucking hero of this story? Like, how am I the person
Bible,
to live
right?
up? Exactly. It's like, how am I the guy to live up to this potential? Like, I am flawed. I am a weak human. I have my own stuff, but like, you look around and I'm like, wow, maybe I'm the right person for the job. Like, what is going on here? How could this be possible? And it's like, quit doubting it, just fucking go. And it's back to one more thing that I wanted to say is, like, whether it's God, and I've recently become a little more religious than I ever was before. I've always have this religious tinge, but now I'm like, I look around and I have a fundamental heuristic. Like, I look around, and if the last 3 years have proven anything to us, is like, there's a lot of evil in the world, and I believe in equal and opposite forces. If there is this much evil in the world, there has to be the opposite force of something good. To me, that is God. You can believe whatever you want. I'm not here to push my beliefs on people, but I just look around and I've seen a lot of evil shit happen in the last 3 years, and I'm like, okay, if the
it's a law of polarity.
Exactly. There's got to be an opposite good with it. So, hey, like I said, I believe I'm a child of the light, and I lean into that now. Am I perfect? No, of course not. But some things that I've realized is, like I was going to say, whether it's God, whether it's Bitcoin, I think humans need a pillar of truth. Like, you need to be able to touch something sturdy, something that is unchanging, something that gives you the strength to move forward, the heuristics, the fundamentals, so that you can look out into the world and know that you're moving in the right direction. And for a lot of men, or for eons, it's been God. then we kind of realize like, okay, God, I'm not, this might be blasphemous, but it's like God isn't enough in society to move things towards the right direction when you have a corruptible money. And now it's like, okay, we have an incorruptible money. So now the incentives are becoming purified. And like, we have two pillars of truth, which is like God and Bitcoin. And for me, it's like my family. I don't know how people can cut out their family. Like, to me, that it blows my mind. I'm like, aren't we stuck with them? They have your blood. Like, you know, you may not choose your family, but like, aren't you stuck with them? And a lot of people are like, no, like, you know, fuck them. Like, I don't like them. They don't believe in my goals. And I cut them out and I've never had a better life. And I'm like, dude, for all the warts and scars of my family, I absolutely love and adore them. And I don't have my own family yet. And God willing, I will have a family because on a my hubris, machismo take. Like, I think the world needs more of me. Like, I think I'm kind of cool. I think I got some shit going on. I think I can propagate
and
myself.
They will.
Yeah, exactly.
And the world will have that.
I appreciate it. My friend Joe Rogers, he always, because he loves memes. He loves memetic warfare, and he's like, dude, children are the best. You're propagating the meme that is your life with children. I'm like, oh my God, like everything is memes. But yeah, it's like, I think humans need a pillar of truth. Now, what that means to people, I think that's a personal choice. I think it's all subjective. Well, not all subjective, but like there is objective truth, but your relationship to that truth is subjective experience because, my upbringing is different than your upbringing. You see the world differently than I see the world. But I think fundamentally, humans do look for good and we want to reach towards that good. And I think the good is universal, and anyone that tells you otherwise is trying to subvert the good that is, whatever society or God or whatever. It's just like there is subversion tactics going on and they want humanity to fail. Like, I'm team human. I think humans are fucking great. Yes, we are the worst predator on we're the apex predator, but also we have that goodness in us. And I don't think humans are only their worst selves. Like, I think humans will achieve the next level of humanity, whether it's like moving up on the Kardashev scale, or just figuring
like
out
type one to
exactly, or just figuring out. Like, I think the world is like the greatest story ever told. Like, humanity is the greatest story ever told. But what it all boils down to is like how best to organize humans. And this is the game going on, is how do we organize humans towards the best, highest outcome? A lot of people might think that it starts with the central bankers, central planners that tell, from up high what the little man should be doing. And then there's us, where it's like, no, I think the free market will figure it out, and everyone has their own internal code. Everyone makes up their own choices. And I hate using the word collective, but collectively, via all of our individual choices, society moves towards the best alternative. And it gets tricky. And you're like, okay, so like what? Human history is just a story of organizing this unruly beast. And, there's people that take the negative view, like humans are, deaf, dumb, and blind, know better. And then there's like kind of, I think the more lenient view of humanity is like, yeah, well, hey, we haven't probably lived up to our best potential, but that doesn't mean we can't ever. And this is part of what like Bitcoin does, I think, is organizes towards our highest and best. And I've said it in the past, like Satoshi has figured out a way to domesticate greed, and it's orienting humanity towards the best outcomes, because you have to do what's best for yourself, like enlightened self-interest. And it's playing out in real time, and I think it's playing out extremely fast. But also, we're humans, we can't see outside of our own little bubble. So like, maybe I'm hearing an echo chamber, maybe I'm seeing, I am naively optimistic. And
honestly,
I'm like,
Opti, no, it's funny you say that though, because like, again, like Bitcoiners are too almost, I don't know. I don't know if saying too humble is the right word necessarily, because there's a lot of toxicity inside the space, which rightfully so. It's righteous indignation, quite honestly. And we've been beat over the head for our entire life, because you say that, and I used to kind of believe that too. However, our entire lives we were beat over the head with one philosophy, one idea, and it was collectivism. It was Marxism. It was go to school, Marxism, media, Marxism, pop culture, Marxism, Hollywood, Marxism, everything. It was always beat over head. So like a conservative person or a classic liberal or a libertarian or a Bitcoiner, these people tend to be the most open-minded, and probably the religious people, the Christians, like the most open-minded people I've ever seen in my life. There's no group of people that's more open-minded than that collective group of like 5, 6, 7 different groups that I just mentioned, because we were beat over the head for our entire lives with one narrative, especially the last 100 years. And then we still come to this other side of the aisle and say, no, like, guys, I've heard 10,000 hours of what you said over here, but this is the truth over here. So I mean, like, at the end of the day, there's like, I think we have the best perspective because we are the only ones not in an echo chamber. And because of our humility, was saying, not saying this facetiously or like, with braggadociously, but like, because of the humility, which we work on, this is not something you're just like born with necessarily, but we're working on it, trying to be more humble. We are the ones saying, hey, I've seen that. I've been beat over the head with that, but you should come look at this because this resonates more. And I think that's something that needs to be talked about more, because we tend to just kind of like, all of us, well, it's like, no, we've seen both sides. The other side is the only side that hasn't seen both sides, right? Like, that's,
Yeah.
It's crazy.
No, you're touching on something that I've been talking about. I don't know if I say it in space. I think I've actually said it a few times on the show.
Yep, here and there. Yep.
Is like, as much as I really love the stay humble, stack sats meme, I always kind of take that as like financial advice. Like, stay humble, don't over leverage yourself. Be smart, make sure that your bills, your rent, your food is paid. Like, stay humble in regards to your finances. But recently, I'm starting to kind of have a problem with the idea of like staying humble. And I'm like with you on this wave where it's like, dude, I think we need to act like we have the right answers. Like, we need to double down on that idea. Like, no, like, we're fucking right. Like, this is the
Talk
right
past
way.
the sale. Yeah,
exactly. Like,
Assume
we're
it.
right in this, and move towards life based on that idea of like, yes, we really are right, and not necessarily stay humble in regards to the fact that like, yo, we have the truth. It's like holding the
not being
sword of
closed-minded.
destiny.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yes.
It's like, yo, like, move towards the world, move through the world with confidence that you have the right answers, because if you stay humble,
or prove me wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
If you
And
stay
Hotez
humble in
can't do
regards
it.
to this, exactly. If you stay
I mean,
humble
that's
in
an
regards to the truth,
Yep.
Then you become like docile. You become, easily moldable. You become, complacent. You become, I'm missing the right word, but like a fly in the wall, and you're just like, oh,
like
okay,
a spectator.
like,
You're just,
yeah, exactly.
yeah.
It's like, oh, what's there to be humble about when you know the truth? It's like, yo, we have the answers. Like, move towards and through society like you have the answers, because if you stay humble, what are you going to do? Like, yeah, of course you got to pick and choose your battles, but like, if you have the answer, what, you're just going to stay humble and let someone else be wrong because you're being humble?
Right.
I'm like, I don't know about that. Like,
It's
that
our moral
doesn't seem
duty.
right to me. Exactly. That doesn't seem right with me. It's like,
we're the 3% for crying out loud.
Exactly. Like, stay humble in regards to your finances. Don't, live below your means is kind of how I hear stay humble now. But, talk the talk, like, live, like, you're right, man. Like, enjoy life so much that your enthusiasm for life starts to resonate in everything you're doing. And I, maybe I am projecting my own thoughts on what stay humble actually means, but I'm starting to like lean into the idea, like, yo, us Bitcoiners need to act like we have the right idea. Like, get fit, get strong, get your money right, get your family right, get all your ducks in a row, and then move through the world like you know what the fuck you're talking about, and create the businesses that will change the world. Like, what else can we do except for outcompete them on the market of ideas that like, yo, we are right. All right, let's fucking double down on this. Let's fucking go. Yes, we are up against the great Leviathan, but hey, we have truth on our side. Like, we have good on our side. And if anyone knows anything about a good story, the good always prevails. So it's going to get dark, but I don't know, man. I just naively think like, look, hey, don't blame me, blame him. I may not have all the answers, but how am I to doubt that everything will play out in the end? So I don't know, man. I'm just like, all right, let's double down. Let's go.
100%. I think it's, and we talk about this a lot too, right? It's holding two opposing opinions in your head at the same time. And that's just one sign of intelligence or genius, quite honestly, and being able to hold both those opinions or opposing opinions and be able to argue them and talk about them and be okay with that and not have your head explode and this is kind of what the humility aspect is too. Stay humble, stack stats kind of can mean anything for anyone. And I think that it's overall, it's not thinking, hey, you're shit coining and it's like, no, I've got the answer, and you're just not open to it. And you're like, oh, you're toxic. It's like
shitcoiners are people too, bro.
Yeah, you mentioned yesterday. So like my fight or flight mechanic, like I've gotten a lot of fights in my life just growing up, just because it was like protecting someone else. Like people can do a lot of stuff to me, and I have a very long wick. But man, when it's like someone else is like coming under fire, my mentality is just like I want to step in and like protect that person or protect someone. And so it's just like, hey, step back, let's cool down, let's think about it. But it's we could all be wrong. It's just kind of thinking and what am I missing, or am I missing something, and just kind of going through. And that's the humility part to me. Like we talked about the religion thing, going around and understanding, hey, I go to mass on Sunday or whatever because I don't have the answers. I don't have all the answers. I think these are the right answers. Keep proving me wrong. Like I'm open to change. I have a list actually I made of all the things I've changed my mind on in 20 years. And it's just like we're the most open-minded people, and we're constantly beat over the head with things, and yet we're able to say, hey, well, prove me wrong, I'm open to it. And we're not going around and marching on streets and doing stuff. And hey, there's a time and place for doing things like that, believe me. But you don't see certain groups of people doing that. It's because we're classical liberal people, tend to be very open-minded, and we're just going to sit here and somewhat docile, almost too docile at times, and say, hey, maybe I don't know everything. So I think it's important to stay humble and stack stats to your own ability, or to like how you think about it, but also, like you said, be confident in what you're doing, because we do have those answers that are based on a lot of these principles, and the other side doesn't have that until they can show us, hey, no, you're wrong because of all these things. And hey, Dr. Hotez, and we keep using him as a scapegoat in a way right now, but he's the placeholder for the moment. Show me where we're wrong. Show us where we're wrong, because we're open to that. All these people want to learn. Like we want to know, like make this simple for us. Like, let's see. And if you can't do that, then we're going to move on, so.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you reminded me of a meme. It's kind of a joke that I kind of tell one of my buddies all the time, but I see this play out a lot in popular culture and mainstream culture at large. It's like, look, I'm open-minded. I think I'm open-minded. I might be more open-minded than most people, but it's like the meme. I don't remember where it came from, but it's probably like from a movie or something. But like, don't be so open-minded that your brain falls out. And I think that's where we're at right now. Like people are like, it's like a virtue signal of like, I am open-minded. It's like, yeah, but like there are principles, like there are things that you shouldn't budge on. Like there is certain fundamental truths that you shouldn't be open-minded about. And like, whether you're wrong or right, I think is besides the point, but like, don't be so open-minded that your brain falls out and you stop thinking. It's like there's got to be some things that everyone holds dear to themselves, and I think this is just how humans work. And it's not like you're a flawed person. It's just, hey, I hold these truths to be self-evident, and I move forward from them.
Smart guys came up with that. I mean, it's like weird.
I don't know really who said that, but
those guys are forgotten. Dustbin of history. My gosh, half people are like, who's that? Who said that? All right, exactly. So we can talk about this, and
we can go on forever. But yeah, we can take this wherever you want.
We can go on forever about this, and another time we will get into more of that stuff.
I'll come back again when we'll do it.
I know, yeah, true. It always, especially with you and I, it always comes back to this. So I want to get just into your introduction. I want to talk again about the 3% a little bit, but also like the big thing you talk about all the time, right? Which is and you touch on a little bit, but your mental, spiritually, physically, and emotionally. Working out, eating good food, touching grass, right? Surrounding with your family, and being really grounded. Because again, that's a form of staying humble, right? That's a form of humility and doing what you need to do. And then also kind of, how did that lead? Like, what was your road to money and or Bitcoin? So kind of both. What was your the childhood like, and what was that? How did that process go into leading, making mistakes, some aha moments, and leading you to Bitcoin? I know you've talked about getting wrecked, doing stuff, which many of us have. What was that road like, and where did it lead you to now, to this day? Like you said, is stay humble. Let's be smart. Let's be the example you want to be for other people to come follow you. What does that journey look like?
Yeah, so I'm sure I could ramble a long time and give you like my whole autobiography on this, but I'll try to consolidate this. So the way I kind of look at my journey into Bitcoin is, I went to college. I don't know if most people know this, but most people kind of do. I got a bachelor's in philosophy, and I never really enjoyed school at all, up until college. And I only really went to college to kind of make my mom happy. I still was operating on the old operating system that like, oh, go to college, get a good job. You know, that's the right thing to do in society. Now on this side, I'm like, kids, don't go to college, just make some fucking money, saving Bitcoin. But anyways, with that being said, I am very happy that I did go to college because by chance I found this philosophy class. It was an elective. I literally magically just kind of picked this class. It sounded cool. And my teacher was ranting about like all the things we rant about now. He was talking about like the trilateral commission,
That's right.
the
I remember
OPEC,
talking about this a long time ago.
yeah, like the creature from Jekyll Island. And he was kind of connecting this all into like the true nature of reality and politics and what's going on in the world. And I fell in love with that class. And I just took more philosophy classes. And then I didn't even know what I wanted to do in college. And I just kind of like, all right, well, the only thing I really like to do is go to this philosophy class. So maybe I'll just make my major be philosophy. And it's like, hey, again, in hindsight, not the best major if I wanted to make money, because what could I do? Just teach other kids to become philosophers. But anyways, that's a whole nother rant.
That's kind of what you do now.
Yeah, it is. Everything I do is philosophy now.
Yes.
But I chose philosophy as my major. And back then, people would ask me, like, why did you choose philosophy? And I'm like, oh, just wanting to know the simple, basic things of like why we are alive and what's the meaning of life. And, just nothing big, like the true nature of reality. I really thought like philosophy could teach me that. Like I really thought there were answers out there. Then I basically got my degree in philosophy and I was left with more questions than answers. And, but the shining light of it all is it kind of taught me how to think, or rather taught me how to learn. And it taught me that I enjoyed learning and that I enjoyed at least, going through these process of logical deductions of thinking. I fell in love with thinking and fell in love with learning. And I used to joke like I was the perpetual thinking man for so many years, where I would just ponder every possibility and the true nature of reality. And long story short, went to the real world, didn't do anything with the philosophy degree, dabbled in my nihilistic adventures and, dabbled in psychedelics and just tried to learn the true nature of reality, because that's why I fell in love with philosophy. I wanted to know the true nature of reality. And again, I was left with more questions than answers. And the farther I went down the rabbit hole, the more fucking questions I had. And like you probably know, and I think a lot of people know, like I grew up in California. I'm for better or worse, basically a lefty. I grew up a Democrat and thought Republicans and conservatives were kind of wacko or redneck. And then I worked hard labor, and my family, we build houses for a living. Like that is our family business. And so I did that for a while, and I just fucking hated doing all the labor work. Like it just tore me fucking down. And I always had this meme of like, I want to do something and build houses with my mind. Like I want to manifest what's up here into the real world and not so much just use my body to do that, because I know I could do that. I know like if for whatever reason this doesn't work out, I could always go back and build houses, and I'll use my body to build things. And I don't think that's me denigrating people that build things, because everyone has their own way of manipulating the third dimensional realm. And I just I always just had the idea of the meme of like, I want to create something from my brain and manifest that into reality. Like that was always my goal. I'm a philosopher. Anyways, life gets hard. I was fucking broke. It was rough. I put myself in bad relationships. I wasn't doing anything. I was just partying and bullshitting. And I was just kind of lost. I was very nihilistic, which is funny now because I'm Optimist Fields. And, I have this very optimistic view of the world now. And
proof that people can change.
Exactly. And I always say like perspective, and this was before even Bitcoin, like perspective was my superpower. And at the time I did kind of go through like the self-help, self-guru type like angle, or the new age thinking. And I wanted to improve my lot in life. Like I wasn't happy. I don't really believe in depression. I was just like in a shitty place feeling depressed. And so I wanted to change my not only my lot in life, but also my mental perspective and my mental health. And so I did a lot of work. I fixed my mind because, as Parliament says, fix your mind and your ass will follow. I'm a huge fan of music, and I was making music for a while with my cousin, and this is where the Optimist Fields moniker came from. I wanted to make. I'm a huge fan of MF Doom. I fucking love MF Doom. If anyone watched my early stuff, I would literally wear the MF Doom mask on the show because I was an anon. I was an anon shit poster. I didn't want people to know who I was. But I wanted to make music. I used to produce music. I suck at playing keyboard, but I love making music. And so I was kind of working on this moniker. I wanted to like a pseudonym before I even knew what pseudonyms were. I wanted to make this character like an MF Doom character where I speak the truth in music, and it's not about me, the person, it's about the message. And I was working and I was up early and I fucking hated it. And shout out to my family. I love them to death, and I'd never do anything to basically not help my family succeed. So I just fucking bit my tongue and I worked my fucking ass off. But I also always was an artiste. I'm from California. I'm a lovable guy at the core, but I'm strong, and I hide that part because you can't be a pussy in this world or you'll get fucking ran over. Anyway, that's a whole other rant. I was making music and I wanted to create a character, and I was up in the morning. I was fucking pissed off, and I saw literally a field called Optimist Fields, and I was like, holy shit. Like, that's the fucking name of the character that I'm like, that is my rap persona. Wow. Like, that is my hip hop persona. It is Optimist Fields, because at the time I knew I wasn't happy with my situation and I wanted more, and I wanted to spread that positivity, and I wanted to be that positivity better. And so I was like, that's it, Optimist Fields. And I never really even finished that project. It's still like 2/3 done on my computer, but it's still like a lit project. And I'm like, one day I'll finish it. Anyways, around that same time, Bitcoin just touched 10K for the first time. And I had multiple touches about Bitcoin in the past as like, internet nerd money, dark net market money. I was like, okay, I can buy weed in my neighborhood. Like, I don't need fucking digital money to buy weed. Like, right. I can buy weed from my friends. Like, I don't need this. Anyways, it just broke 10K for the first time. It was November 2017. I remember the exact day, but I don't want to fully dox myself. It was November 2017. And it just hit 10K. And I heard about it, Bitcoin, like 5 times that day. It was all over the news. Like in the morning, I saw something. Like later at lunch, I saw something. When I was getting off work, I saw something. I came home and I saw some other shit. It was maybe on like Instagram and the news and all this stuff. And then I sat at home and my cousin came over, and he's younger than me by like a decade or something. And we were making music together. We were kind of working on different projects. And I just kind of asked him, I'm like, yo, have you heard about this Bitcoin thing? Like, I've heard about it so many times today. He's like, oh yeah, shit, I might have some Bitcoin. I'm like, how the fuck do you have Bitcoin? Like, you're like, what? You're a dumbass. Like, I love him. Obviously, he knows I'm joking. Yeah. But I'm like, what the fuck? Like, how do you have Bitcoin? Like, you're not a fucking nerd. He's like, oh yeah, I was buying things on those websites that they don't want you buying. Wink, wink. And I'm like, oh, okay, for sure. And he's like, maybe I have some. Let me look and see if I have some. Like 2 minutes later, he's like, oh shit, I don't have any for sure. I must have used it all. Anyways, that night we just sat there and watched Andreas Antonopoulos videos for like an hour. Just back to back to back, and we're just like blowing our minds. We're just like, holy shit, this thing's revolutionary. This is going to change the world. And instantly jumped on Coinbase, bought $100 of Bitcoin, thought I was a great trader, made like $10, actually lost $10 on it. And then finally it made $10. So it was like $100 went to like 97 or 93. And then it went back to 110. And I'm like, I am the greatest trader of all time. I just made 10% on my $100. I sold it. And then I realized the fees, and then the price kept going, and I instantly bought $100 back, but a different $100 because that $100 was lost in the ACH. So it's just like instantly learning on my feet, right? And then, man, like that 2 weeks, I just studied Bitcoin as much as humanly possible and found something on like Reddit, like, oh, if you want to be a part of the conversation, get on Twitter. And for being brief, like the rest is history. I jumped on Twitter and I just like never looked back. I just was like, oh my God, like everyone here is so smart and cool, and it's his like philosophy and technology, and everything I've always felt wrong about the world is actually true, and it's not a conspiracy theory, and it's not just me, you know, falling for psyops. And I didn't even really know what psyops were back then, but like that's what it was. And it's like, okay, wow, like my philosophy teacher was telling me all this, like, oh my god, I've known this forever, let me just keep diving down. And I just, you know, I did get lost for that December of 2017 into like February of 2018 in shitcoins, and because everything was popping, and you know, Bitcoin was MySpace, and there wasn't as good of Bitcoin only content as there is today.
Same story as me.
Yeah, exactly. And so, you know, I did get lost in shitcoin for like 2-3 months maybe, and lost a lot of Bitcoin and, you know, gained a little bit. And so you get hooked in the dopamine of like, oh my God, everything's pumping. And, you know, you see things pump and you're like, wait, there's so much money to be made and all this stuff. And then finally, I don't know, I don't know. I kind of jokingly say that I somehow got to the center of the Tootsie Pop, and, you know, somehow found the right signal on Twitter and avoided all the bullshit, and then started listening to like Marty Bent and Matt Odell's TFTC, and Pierre Rochard and Michael Goldstein, aka Bitstein, and Stefan Livera, and, you know, read the Bitcoin Standard, and was just like running on my feet and learning Austrian economics in real time, and learning like I'd never even heard about libertarianism before Bitcoin. Like maybe I've heard of it, like I might have heard of it here or there, but I only ever really heard about like left-right paradigms, Republicans versus Democrats, and maybe heard about libertarian. Actually, quick story, and kind of a funny story, and kind of like this is how lost I was when I was in like middle school. I did like I couldn't even vote, obviously, but I was so anti-establishment that I was endorsing the Green Party. I forget what the guy's name was. He's a quack.
I'm trying to think. Ross Perot was like the early '90s Green Party guy.
I don't know.
That was too early. That was too early.
It was like Nader, right? Ralph Nader, I think.
Oh yeah,
he was like pro weed, and I was like 15. I'm like, yeah, this guy's dope. He's part of the Green. That's how clueless I was of politics. This is one of the things that attracted me to Bitcoin in the first place. Is like its apolitical nature. Like that's why Bitcoin is so powerful, because it is apolitical money, and hence why now I'm realizing, oh shit, because it is apolitical, it is the most political thing in the world, because you are negating politics. And what is the world about? It's about politics, about power. And if you take away that power with apolitical money that has no ideology behind it, obviously it's going to get attacked, and it's going to become political. And so now it's back to realizing like, oh shit, you know, I'm not born in America. I could never be president. I tuned out of politics my whole fucking life. And now I'm like, shit, man, maybe I do have to get into politics. And I have like this weird ick about it. I'm like, ugh, like gross, like what a nerd. But I'm starting to realize the importance of just joining the conversation, and I think it's very important, but like I still haven't fully wrapped my head around it. But anyways, I found Bitcoin. This was probably around 2018, and just delved into studying Bitcoin as much as possible. That's all I was doing. I was listening to Bitcoin podcast for like 40 hours a week plus. While I was working, I just had podcasts, and like, don't fucking talk to me, I'm listening to, you know, Pierre Rochard. Like, you don't fucking get it, bro. And
normal speed or 2x speed? 1.5?
Oh, dude, no, I'm like a 1.5, 1.25 maxi. 2x is too fast for me. Like I'm very
Depends
much
what
someone.
You're doing.
Yeah. I'm someone that like, I like to hear what they're saying, but then also I reflect on what they're saying so that like it seeps in. And at 2x, like I start losing what the fuck he's saying. And I'm just like, oh wait, I need this information. I need to reflect on the information. But as you can tell, I think the way I talk at 1.25, like I talk at 1.5, like 1x is too slow for me. When I get excited, I'm like talking at 1.5, and I'm trying to do my best to like slow down. You know, I want to be a gentleman with like a deep voice and talk slow and move slow, because I hear that that's what men do. Anyways, you know, 2018, I studied Bitcoin, and just was shit posting on Twitter. Like I just sat on Twitter forever and was shit posting, and at like 300 followers, because I was just learning. I was in the trenches. I just wanted to learn, and I heard that you can learn on Twitter. And this was around, I don't know, 2018 or whatever. I had like 300 followers or something, And I just kind of thought of the bright idea of like, oh, I learned about like OPSEC and like, I had like originally like my face on Twitter and like my full name.
Mhm.
And then I just like kind of realized I heard about OPSEC and I'm like, oh shit, like, yeah, man, like cypherpunk. My OPSEC. Like they're coming after me, bro. Like I better make sure they're not coming after me, bro.
The Hellfire's coming for your house, man.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, even to this day, my mom laughs. She's like, Opti, you better not be saying anything on Twitter that's going to come back to you. I'm like, oh, shit. Yikes. Like, yeah, I'm right. Oh, I'm saying all kinds of nice things on the internet, Mom. Like, I'm a lovely
so many
person.
nice internet friends.
Like, oh, shit. Yeah, definitely fuck that up. Anyway, it was like, I was at like 356 followers on Twitter. And I just got the bright idea of changing my name to Optimist Fields and like kind of hiding behind the avatar. And ever since that day of just like battling in the trenches, learning about Bitcoin, battling shitcoiners, leveling up my understanding of not only Austrian economics, but about the world and geopolitics and even some macro and what's going on with the financial world. I don't know, my account just started growing, and maybe there's something to the idea of like the Optimist Fields name and being a Bitcoiner that just kind of like resonated with people.
Yes.
And just fell into I did the lightning torch. Remember the thing that Hodonot started? I forget what it's called. I think it was lightning torch. Yeah, it was part of the lightning torch. The first I was like 60, touch 60 on the lightning torch. And I was still kind of dabbling in shit coins, and I just kind of like was like transitioning into Bitcoin only. And well, this is funny. I had this idea. It was like 3 months into it. I was getting wrecked. I was bleeding sats. And I had this idea of like, well, all these shitcoins are trying to be Bitcoin. If I am going to make money in this space, if I am going to know what the right shitcoin is, I better learn what Bitcoin is first and foremost. And so I went and studied Bitcoin, only Bitcoin. And I went and looked for like the only Bitcoin guys, because I'm like, look, all these shitcoiners, I don't think like they're all shilling their own bags. Everyone's incentivized to pump their bag. I'm like, okay, if I'm going to make money in the space, I better learn about Bitcoin. And then I can gauge every other shitcoin based off Bitcoin, because if they're all trying to be a better Bitcoin, well, I better understand what the fuck Bitcoin is first and foremost. And so I went down that rabbit hole of like, what is Bitcoin and Bitcoin only podcast. And then of course you never come up out of that rabbit hole because there's only Bitcoin. And so slowly but surely, as I'm learning, I start dumping Bitcoin or my shitcoins, and I'm starting to consolidate. And I'm like, oh my God, like Austrian economics, and oh my God, Bitcoin is the only thing in the space. And but no, maybe this shitcoin's different. Maybe there's a use case for this shitcoin. And you start to like, dump your other shitcoin, because you realize like, oh wait, like there's no point in me holding Litecoin if I'm holding Bitcoin. And like I came in after the Bcash fork, and the Bcash guys just didn't seem to get it. And I'm like, oh, these toxic Bitcoiners seem to be the ones that are smart, and this chain's the most powerful one. And so you start to consolidate on Bitcoin. And of course, I still had some like use case coins, utility coins that I thought maybe had potential. And I don't know. I was following the right Bitcoiners, and I was going Bitcoin only, and I started to learn more about Bitcoin, and I realized Bitcoin is the only thing. And then the lightning torch happened, and I was still kind of caught up in the narrative of like, oh, Bitcoin's slow, my slow Bitcoin, only 7 transactions per second and 10 blocks per minute. And this will never be the global network, global settlement network of the world. It's too slow and not quick enough. And then like Lightning came on the map at like 2018. And I was like, all right, I want to fucking like, this sounds cool. I want to be a part of this. And then the Lightning, I think Pierre dropped he had like this software, like prepackaged Lightning node that you just like download the script and it does it all for you. And I downloaded that and I was like, oh, this is fucking cool. And then the lightning torch happened, and I think I just like nuked my Lightning account, and I forget what I might have used like a custodial wallet or something just to like be a part of like, oh shit, like this is amazing. Look how quick it works and all this. And from there, I just, just never got up. I just continued to double down and 2 years later, I started Bitcoin Kindergarten with one of my friends because I'm already a savage Bitcoiner. I was in all the like Taco Carnivore Bitcoin groups. I was just on Telegram group with all these other savage Bitcoiners. And I was like, these motherfuckers get it. Like, these guys are dope. And I just, started to not only educate myself, but one thing that Pierre Rochard said that I always thought was very interesting is like, what you're doing on Twitter is not necessarily having arguments with shitcoiners or people that are against your ideology. Like, there's an audience watching. And so you kind of like play to the audience and realize, oh, there's other people that are watching like I was. And maybe I can help get more people to become Bitcoiners. And then, I don't know, you just get caught up in it. It's like, how I want to work in Bitcoin. How do I get involved in Bitcoin? How do I work in Bitcoin? And whether that's creating the content, creating your own company, or joining other people's companies, I just put in work in the trenches, bro, and was just tweeting. And then Nico used to hang out with me on Bitcoin Kindergarten, and we used to just shoot the shit. And even Phil Koenickers, like, we would all just hang out in Bitcoin Kindergarten and just like fucking talk shit and try to educate people. And there was literally like 20 of us on Discord, and we had like, I don't know, maybe 100 views on YouTube, but we were trying. And me and Nick Can't Mine were just trying to educate people. We had like originally had like PowerPoints and shit. Like, okay, how do we educate people? It's always been back to, okay, Bitcoin's fucking dope. It changed my life. It's changing my life. Now, how do we spread this so other people understand that Bitcoin is the revolutionary idea, and also how revolutionary that idea is? And so you kind of go down to the education route, because I'm not a coder. I don't have minds. I'm not, like, at the time I could have gone two routes. I could have just like bought some ASICs and tried to plug stuff in, but I was living at my parents' house. I'm not going to like just plug in an ASIC and be like, yeah, fucking mom and dad pay my electricity for sure. And it's all loud, and I like music. So I'm like, okay, I need to worry about my ears, and I like my quiet time. So I just kind of leaned into like education. And fast forward at Bitcoin 2022, I believe it was. Yeah, 2022. Nico just kind of came up to me. We've been friends for always. Like, look, bro, I want you to run the Simply Bitcoin Twitter account. I'm like, fuck yes. Didn't even think about it. A week later, I basically told my parents, look, I have this opportunity. If I'm going to do it right, I'm going to commit 100% to it. I had already had a little nest egg in Bitcoin. I did the richest man in Babylon technique, where it's like, just take 10% of every paycheck, put it aside, live within that 90% of your paycheck, live within your means, under your means. But obviously I was living at my parents' house, so I was putting like 50-75% of all money coming into Bitcoin, and I just went full degen on it. So I had like this little nest egg, and Nico kind of pulled me aside. He's like, yo, bro, I want you to join Simply. And I'm like, fuck yeah. Like, I've been watching Simply. That's like my favorite fucking show. It's my friends. I'm like, hell yeah, this is fucking dope. And then, long story short, all the fucking chaos happened, and now I'm one of the hosts, and I'm like, fucking whatever. Like, Simply Bitcoin is not dying on my watch. And now I'm leaning into like the importance of being a broadcaster. And I jokingly say, like, I'm a propagandist. I'm very serious when I say that, but I know that P word really triggers people in the wrong way. It's like, no, I'm a Bitcoin evangelist. I think Bitcoin is the best way.
Have you read Bernays' book, Propaganda?
I have, but I feel like I need to reread it, because I think I audio booked it. I might have audio booked it. And so, like, I don't know. I can't do Audible. It does something about reading a book. It like, I can
so different.
Register the ideas better, but there's something about communicating with people that I get the message better through communication with people. But like, when I hear a book, I don't know, it doesn't do it for me, even though I get to read more books.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, fucking, I'm a propagandist. I'm okay with this.
Yeah, no, yeah. Well, that's, hey, you gotta fight fire with fire, right? That's all they're doing to us. All these psyops. So really quick, fill me in, because I don't even think I know what happened with Simply. What was like the chaos that was going on when you came in to that role?
Yeah, so I mean, I came in, and the original idea, what I was pitched on, was turn Simply Bitcoin into the biggest Bitcoin pleb media company, and I was like, fuck yeah, we're gonna make it into a company that rivals Bitcoin Magazine. because we're like, they're just not doing it right. Like
Mm-hmm.
they kind of angled themselves towards the suits. And shouts out to the boys at Bitcoin Mag. I fucking love them. I have a bunch of friends that work over there.
Yeah,
This
a lot
is
of you
not,
guys.
yeah, this is not me knocking them. This is just kind of what I thought at the time as well. It was just like, all right, like let's try to do it as best as we can. And then, like I guess I didn't know that there was any kind of animosity between Nico and Phil. They seemed to be like they had symbiosis on the channel. They were like they seemed like they were fucking glued together by the hip. Apparently there was, some kind of difference of opinions about where the company should go. And it just fucking boiled over one day and fucking ended up on Twitter that very night. And we just fucking just like clawed together and made sure that it didn't stop. Like I literally just left my parents' house and left everything to do this. And we're like, yeah, we're not going to stop this. And we just fucking ran with it, bro. And it's just like, I don't know, like I hate to use the idea of like divine timing and all this stuff, but it really does feel like divine timing because like I had a very real moment. Again, like I don't like to push my views on people because then you get labeled a certain way and all this stuff. But like I had a moment back home where I was like, look, God, I'm going to take this opportunity. If this works out, then I know I'm doing the right thing. And like it's with your help as well. And I am just trying to do the best that I can. And I'm going to take this opportunity. I'm going to change everything in my fucking life. I'm going to give it all I have. And if it starts to succeed, then not only like I know you're real, but I know this is real. And it was one of those moments where it's just like, all right, like, God, if this is what you want me to do, I'm going to do it. I'm going to give it all I have. I'm going to do it as best to my abilities, with principle and honesty as much as possible. I am only human. I do fail. I do have flaws. I'm not perfect, but I do my best to, live by the ideals that I really do hold dear to myself. And it was literally a moment where it's like, all right, God, like, am I really going to tell my parents I'm not going to work for them anymore? Like, holy shit, like that's a big deal. And I just kind of like gave it up. And I was just like, all right, let me kind of like pray on this, meditate on this. And if you, tell me that this is the right move to do, then I'm going to do it. And obviously it was the right move because I did it. And then, worked my ass off for like 4 months when it was the original team. Shit fucking blew up. It exploded like right as I joined and changed everything and left home and fucking, sacrificed everything for this. And then it was just kind of like, all right, well, I've already burnt the ships, so there's no going back. And I'm not going to go back with my tail between my legs. And that very day, like to prove to both of them that I was 100% in it, I docked my face because I felt like, okay, that's the last thing I really have holding like that I really have to myself to prove to them that I want to do this 100%. I will dox my face and just like show you. I'm putting it all on the table for you guys.
That's awesome.
There's nothing I'm holding back except for like my government name, but like even then, most of my friends basically already know my name, but everyone still just calls me Opti. And it's just like I just gave it all, and it's back to kind of, again, I'm not very vocal about like my spiritual religious beliefs, but like really I had a moment where I'm like, look, I'm going to give this all I have. And if it is true and correct, then we will succeed and we will do, we'll go farther than we ever fucking thought. And just fucking do it and, give it everything you got. And I don't know, man, it's fucking working and it blows my mind every fucking time. It's like, wow. I always remember that conversation where I was sitting there like, trepidation. I'm sitting there like pacing in my room, like, oh my God, like, am I really going to make this big move in my life? And I think it was the right move. And ever since then, it's like, I do have, and I've had this since I was a kid, like my own personal relationship with source, with the creator, with God. And I'm just like, okay, if they crucify me for it, so fucking be it. I know I'm not perfect. I don't claim to be perfect. I don't even claim to be like a reborn, born again Christian. I'm just like, look, I believe in a higher power and I believe he's guiding me towards building a better life for myself and hopefully also inspire other people to live a better life for themselves. And I think this is what we're all doing. We're just walking each other home. Like we're just all trying to figure out what's the best way to interact with other humans in the world, the best way to live in society, the best way to like be the best version of a human. And do we have it? I fucking think so. Like I really do think like we have the answers and we are working towards a better world. Now, what do I know what that's going to be like? No, I still kind of probably have like naive utopian views of like what the future will be. And then I'll be
We all do.
disappointed. And then I'll be disappointed with reality. But I don't know, man. I really do feel like it's not, don't blame me, bro. Like it's not me. I'm just doing the best I can and doing the next best step. And that's just like kind of what I'm constantly doing is just like, okay, audit yourself to this point. What is the next best step? Whether you're right or you're wrong, just fucking make the step. And, I don't necessarily believe that there's anything that I'm going to do that is like corrupting my soul. But like, hey, I'll make mistakes and I can never get this moment back or this moment back or this moment back. But I think I'm moving towards the future in the best way I possibly can. And, God willing, we not only succeed at Simply Bitcoin, but I become the person that I've always wanted to be. And this whole journey has just been like me auditing my behaviors and me looking myself in the mirror and being like, wait, like, am I the asshole? Like, am I the bad guy here? Or am I just doing what I think is best and, putting myself first and self-interest first and enlightened self-interest. Like, yes, you have to kind of have some sense of selfishness, let your cup overflow, but I don't think I'm doing anything that like makes me evil or like corrupts my soul. And I've always had that view of like, am what I'm doing making my soul corrupted? I've always kind of had that view of like my soul is mine. I don't ever want to do anything to, I don't know, destroy the soul. And even people argue like there is no soul, and I'm like, I believe we have a soul, and I believe you are a soul being, and I do my best to one day like make it to heaven, whether that's naive or not. It's like I kind of think the world is like a video game and not like a simulation theory type stuff, but like, I think there is a next level and I want to get to that next level. And by getting to that next level, I know that I've succeeded in this life. And it's not like, a view of, oh, there's more there, this life doesn't matter because there's more. I'm like, no, this life is even more important because what we're doing here now will affect eternity. And I believe like life begets life begets life. I think there's only life in the universe. It's, I forget which law, Newton's law it is, but like no energy is ever lost. And what are we but energy? So, your consciousness when you die just gets transferred into a new form and you keep living forever. And that's kind of how I view it. It's like life is eternal and we will continue to go forward. And if I do this life correctly, I'll remember these thoughts and move forward into heaven, into glory, into the promised land, or whatever you want to call it. Like, I really do believe it. Like, life is GTA, bro. Like, I'm just trying to level up and beat the fucking game, and then I'll figure out what the next game is, and whatever that next form is. But like, I really do believe that we're doing something here. We have a purpose here. What is that purpose? I think it's all subjective, but I think there is a purpose to life, and it is to like complete yourself, to become the best version of yourself, to what's the Thanos, like get all the gemstones so that you can move up, level up all your skills, become a 99 player in the game. And am I there? I don't know, but I think, I don't know, I really do have this idea like this is going to be like my last journey on the merry-go-round, God willing, that I complete what I'm supposed to be doing in this incarnation. Because I don't know, I feel like we've all lived life, bro. Like this is the ever after. You've been living a lot of lives, and now's the time to wake up and do things correctly and be a positive force in the world and acknowledge the precarious situation that we're in. Like this moment is precious. Life is precious. And you have an opportunity to not only change your own life, but change the future course of humanity. And I think Bitcoin's a part of that. And this is why we probably get so, I don't know, just so riled up about Bitcoin, is because we know 100%. How important this situation is. And I think a lot of us feel the same thing. Like it really does feel like this moment in time is a very important moment in human history. And probably all generations have thought this since, ancient Greece. Like,
Yep.
everyone has the same idea, like, oh, the children are going by the wayside, and like society's degrading. They've been saying that for thousands of years. But I really do feel like, not to say that this is the end times type shit. I don't really know if I necessarily believe that, but I do think that this is a very important time in humanity. I think this is the greatest time to be a human. We have everything at our fingertips. And then also we have Bitcoin, and we get to usher in Bitcoin. What's the meme that goes around on Twitter? Like, I was too old to be alive, or no, too young to be alive to discover new lands and new oceans. I was too young
Yes.
to discover space or whatever, but I'm here at the perfect time to usher in a hard money standard. And it's like, man, I don't know. It's poetic, and I fucking love it. Hey, I'm a softy Californian at heart, and I like telling good stories. I think this is the greatest story ever told. And kind of back to like Bowtie about everything. I don't think you win by facts and logic and figures. Yes, you need logic. Yes, you need truth. Yes, you need the facts on your side, but you win by telling great stories. All of human history has been told through an oral history, through stories. And now, how do we become the future storytellers of a new story? And this is what we're doing, is like we're propagating a new meme. Now fucking propagate that meme like the greatest storyteller ever fucking told. And this is what we're doing, bro. I don't know. I really believe it. At first there was a word, man, the power of the word. They don't call it spelling for no reason. We are casting spells with our memes every single day. And it's like, just acknowledge the power that you have as a human, the power that goes on in your brain. All these things connect. Like, I know I get a little woo-woo sometimes, a little like spiritual, new agey, but I really do believe that humans don't understand the power that we have individually, let alone the power that again, I hate using the word collective, but the collective consciousness has. And there is a destiny of where we are going. And you are a defining piece of that puzzle, whether you know it or not, whether you believe it or not. Like, it all adds up, and you adding to the signal is important. It's as important as anyone else. And again, back to like the humble thing, like, don't diminish your own flame to stay humble. Like, fucking catch that shit on fire. And never make yourself small to make other people feel big. And it's like, feel big, but bring other people up with you. And I think this is kind of what, is the defining tale of like what Christianity is about. Now, obviously, I've barely ever read the Bible. I barely ever went to church. I just have a personal connection with source. And I'm like, the universe tells me these things. I jokingly say, I'm Mexican. I think everyone knows this. Like, on my Native American side, like, the wind whispers to me, bro. It just gives me the answers. Like, I don't know. I jokingly say it like that, but like, I kind of believe it. It's like, the world gives you the answers. Are you paying attention? Are you watching closely?
Yeah.
Because
and if you believe it, it is true. So that's right.
Perception is reality.
Right. It's all psychological. I mean, that's kind of the moral of the story, man. I just beautifully said. I know we got to get rolling, so we've been rolling for a long time. We could just do it for hours and hours.
Exactly. We could go on forever.
Oh,
Wherever you want to take it, bro. I can stay here for a little while longer. I'm fine.
Cool. Yeah, I'd love to roll through some, a handful of things. We can not lightning round. We can go a little quicker here and jab through things, but we could just, so beautifully said. I feel like William Wallace. I want to like go like get into battle now with that rant you just did for whatever it was, 2, 5. I don't even know how long that was, minutes. That was beautiful
Too
stuff,
long.
man. And I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more, and that's why it's funny, like, we get along well because it's just like our stories are very similar, whether it's upbringing, and just a lot of those, the philosophy, religion, a lot of those things are very similar, right? So you have kindred spirits that come together. And but I will say too, I mean, there's so many Bitcoiners like that, right? Like, you feel like there's a lot of people in the Bitcoin space that have that similar mentality, or that, not upbringing, but just the ethos, right? Like you talked about earlier, the ethos. And that's what's so beautiful, I think, about Bitcoin, is that it's all these people coming together, kind of like this handshake ethos, where people just trust each other, they rely on each other, they believe very similar things: honesty, integrity, hard work, morality, ethics. And it just kind of just goes without being said. And I think that's the thing that people who start coming into the Bitcoin space more will start realizing, understanding as Bitcoin changes them, quite honestly, and brings that out of them more, because everyone has it in them. Like you said, people are inherently good, but Bitcoin, helps you bring that out. It's like, I believe too. I mean, there's religion there, it kind of at the top, and it's the morality kind of end all be all. But then you have on the human side of things, the human world, you have Bitcoin, and that's kind of like, it's kind of like the law of polarity in a way, where you have like the spiritual side in heaven, and then you have the human side, and you have like that physical form in Bitcoin, and the energy, on Earth and stuff. So it's just fascinating. Again, different talks for different days, because we could just spend so long going into those realms. In saying all that, what are you, so like you touched on like how to win friends, influence people, stuff like that. What have you been reading? Like, where do you get your info at? What are you studying? Because like this is, I love asking people this question, because I always, like John Haar was telling me, I love reading Lynn Alden, he loves reading James Lavish and stuff like that. I love talking to people about like, what are they, because it helps me, selfishly, it helps me learn, like, what are you reading? Where do you get your sources of information? What are you kind of keying in on to help you learn and grow? That's something I love asking everybody, mentors, that type of thing, to stay on top of stuff.
Yeah, so full disclosure, I haven't really been watching too much Bitcoin content lately. I've been kind of leaning more into the ideas of like storytelling, how to like public speak.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be Bitcoin for sure.
Yeah,
like
yeah. I'm
yeah.
gonna get to it. It's public speaking. I've been watching some like TED Talks of how to communicate better. I can't name any in particular, but like that's kind of what I've been leaning towards. Also like body language type stuff, so I can, better read people and how they are portraying themselves into the world. But the last book that I did read, and shouts out to Nico because he kind of hit me to this as well. The last book I did read was Rules for Radical by Saul Alinsky. And before people call me a collectivist, the reason we were reading that is
I know why you're reading it.
Yeah, okay.
Know
Then
thy
I don't
enemy.
have to say it. We don't have to say it. But it's a very powerful book, and it's good to know the techniques that are being used against you and that are being used in the corporate press. Highly recommend every single one of you guys read it, because it's a very powerful book. Even if you don't agree with the perspective or the ideology of it, there is, on the one hand, also very pragmatic tools that you can use, but on the other, it is written so well that you almost get psyoped into believing what he believes. And you're so just true. Like, you have to rely on your first principles and decipher it in the Bitcoin lens, because you're like, wow, like this sounds exactly what I'm talking about. But the underpinnings of it, and you're like, holy shit, like this is a great book. I also restarted reading Fountainhead, but I read like the first 100 pages or something. I've read it before. Fountainhead might be one of my favorite books, because, like I told you guys, I grew up as in an architectural family. I grew up building houses, and I really love how Howard Rourke moves through the world. But now in this side, since I'm in media, I really liked kind of understanding Wyman's point of view. Right? Is his name Wyman? I forget what his name is, but he's
I haven't read that in years. Yeah, that's great.
He's the Playboy media mogul in the book, but he ends up dissatisfied at the end. So I'm like, okay, how do you connect the Howard Rourke and the Wyman mentality so you can get best of both worlds, where you're not necessarily doing what the market wants per se, but you're doing what hits and kind of leading the market because of this internal drive, because you're a creator, you're a producer. And I was just kind of sparked the idea of like Steve Jobs, like understanding that the market is what it is, but also kind of pushing the market forward to your ideals and what you think is correct. And so I've been rereading Fountainhead, but I did just start Safe Dean's Principles of Economics, his latest book.
A new one.
I'm only in chapter 1, so like I just finished Rules for Radical. I just read the first chapter of Principles of Economics, and the first chapter is great. It touches on everything that I love. Humans act purposefully, and just like the basics of economics. But I kind of want to refresh myself on the Austrian economics, so I can better explain what is going on and also better understand what is going on. But also just reading a lot of people that I respect in Bitcoin that I think are doing good work. Just their articles here and there, whether they're published on like Bitcoin Magazine. I just read Alan Farrington's Trust Me
Yeah.
Bro about like the
Yeah.
ETF and the difference between the trust and what's going on with BlackRock. I'll catch a bunch of like Marty Bent's newsletters. I
Yep.
just kind of, like I think what it's back to, you asked me about mentors. And first and foremost, I think Nico might be like a good mentor recently in like entrepreneur endeavors, because even though I grew up with entrepreneurs, now like we are entrepreneurs, and it's like we bounce ideas off all the time. We have these same conversations like basically every other day, and we're just like trying to hammer into like, okay, are we fucking right? Are we right about this, or are we sniffing our own farts? And
Yep.
I think we're fucking right about it. So obviously, our channel's doing good, and we're like, all right, cool, like we're fucking right. But back to mentors, I think a lot of the things that I'm doing recently is just seeing like entrepreneurs, whether they're historical or whether they're current, and just seeing what they're doing and trying to relate that into my worldview and what I'm doing, because I'm a huge free market maxi. I'm like, okay, whether I like it or not, these people are doing things and they're succeeding. There's something I can learn from that. And just getting better at speaking, getting better at cultivating attention, getting better at providing value for people. You know who I really like? I don't know if you're on Instagram, but I really like Hermosi's account on Instagram.
Yeah.
I think Hermosi fucking kills it. I love his perspective. And I think he's younger than me too, but he looks way older than me. And I'm like, what the fuck? How do I get this buff and a beard? Like, what the fuck's going on? But yeah, I really like Hermosi. I even been listening to some of like Andrew Tate shit, even though people don't like him. I'm like, his message resonated for a reason with people, and whether you like him or not, he is the most Googled man on planet Earth right now. So he's got to know something. And like I look around the world and I learn from anyone that's doing something that I think is important. Even just like deciphering rap lyrics a lot now. Like I'm like, oh shit, no wonder he's dope. Like listening to Jay-Z and say what you want about Kanye or Ye, like or Drake or whatever. Like these guys are succeed. Literally, what I listen to now,
geniuses.
Exactly. I listen to people that are succeeding at the highest echelons of whatever endeavor they're doing. Whether that's watching, I just recently kind of learned to like basketball. I like seeing, the thinking of like Michael Jordan. One of my friends just kind of taught me to enjoy golf. I'm like, okay, I like to listen to like Tiger Woods, or even like what's his name, Eric Daly. I forget. Is it Eric Daly?
John Daly,
John Daly.
guy?
John Daly. Yeah. He's a fucking goat. But I fundamentally boil the things down. Like you can learn as a man. Look, I'm trying to become the best version of myself. So I listen to men that are excelling at the highest endeavors of anything in humanity, whether that is business, whether that is sports, whether that is media. I try to see people that are succeeding, and I want to pick up those skills and those nuances so that I can become the best version of myself, because I've realized one thing: understanding how to communicate correctly is a fucking superpower. And I think few people understand how powerful that really is. And as someone that can barely speak English, I'm like, I need to get better at communicating. But yeah, I read everything.
Minor detail.
Yeah, minor detail. It's about the charisma and the message, because I don't know. I think what a lot of people are missing right now is there's a lot of nihilism in the world, and people need that escape. And if you're that vessel, that medium for their escape, then hey, so be it. I will help you outside or escape the fiat matrix. And so I don't know. The only books I really have is Rules for Radical, Principles of Economics, and Fountainhead. But I do have like what everybody is saying. Never Split the Difference. I have literally one of my cherished assets or collectibles is my books. And even though I don't read them too much, like I carry a box of books with me everywhere I fucking go. Maybe it's just me like looking at them make me feel like, okay, I'm an intellectual. But like I think I always carry my books and will always carry my book. Yeah. Just like having a library around you, I don't know, it makes me feel good. Even if I haven't cracked a book open in a while, I'll still get that itch like, okay, I need to fucking read a little bit here and there.
Yeah.
But videos, I think YouTube is very powerful. TED Talks, watching people, interviews with your favorite artist, with your
Yep.
favorite whatever they're doing. I think you can learn a lot by what we're doing here, understanding people's stories. I really love
Yep.
movies. I love black and white movies. So I look at,
Mm.
movies and I try to understand the art of storytelling. Even, I was watching Black Mirrors and shit the other day and I'm like, what the fuck are they trying to tell me? How do they do this? How do they, develop these stories and these characters? Like, I need to get better at telling stories. So I don't know. I just devour everything, but multimedia.
Yeah, I love that answer because no one really goes into that much depth with all the different, because you can, like you said, you can learn from everything, right? We can learn just as much from someone who's wrong all the time as we can from someone who's right all the time, right? Like you have to be able to take something from everyone. And I think of obviously movies like The Matrix, big in the Bitcoin community. There's so many themes. There's not just one thing, right? There's so many things, but you can take so much from different types of literature, different types of mediums. I think that's so important to be able to dissect that. But like you said earlier too, though, everyone's we probably tend to be a little different. It's not cocky, it's just trying to be a realist in understanding, like, because like we come from it, it's like, why isn't this like exciting to other people? Like how is this not like getting you going, guys? Like it really is interesting. But that's kind of life in a way. In saying all that, what do you think we are missing as a society? Like what do you think something important for people to be understanding about money, even kids? Like I obviously, I'm big in the kid stuff, and in that realm, helping Bitcoin trading cards out, obviously writing some kids books, stuff like that. But what do you think are some big things just as a society, and also for kids to learn? Maybe things you wish you learned as a kid about money that would help you and give a head start. Because like we were saying earlier, we kind of touched on it. You have like this 20-year, we're behind the curve because of the weak men that have given us this formal education system and government run education. We're 20 years behind the curve. Like we didn't start our real education until we were like 20, until you're out of school. And then it's like, okay, now you can start your real education. What are your thoughts on that and just how we can kind of improve that?
Well, obviously, as a standard meme, fix the money, fix the world. I think if we start with just the basic premise of like people need to know like what is money and figuring out how to explain what is money is probably a great starting point for most people. But I don't know, my first thought was kind of like when you mentioned weak men and stuff, like my first thought, and maybe this is just my projection of what I lacked in my childhood, is just like strong family values, like having a strong figurehead. And I grew up in a household of divorce. Shouts out to my stepdad because he's like the only father I ever really had. But I don't know. I have this like very romantic and I don't know like what you call it, but like tear jerking ideal of one day being the father that I've never had. And I think that's really what society is missing, is having these strong father figures that teach their children what they need to know to succeed in the world and not necessarily outsource that to a government or a school. It's like get back to tradition and lead your household and teach your children what needs to be done. And obviously I'm not there, like I'm still single, I don't have kids, but I God willing, look at myself and I want to be the father that I've never had. Like I get tear jerky on my loneliest days. I'm like, I wish, my dad, my father, my biological dad, like played baseball with me or played football with me. Like I never had those experiences growing up. I was basically, raised by a strong mother. My stepdad provided for us. My mom was basically my mom and my dad. She's the one that was like whipping the fucking, whipping me in the ass, making sure I was going. I was more afraid of my mother than anyone in the world. I still probably more afraid of my mother than anyone in the
That's
world.
amazing.
It's like God and my mom. Like, and even though I'm like bigger than her, but still, there's something about that white witch that just terrifies me.
Amazing.
But yeah, I think it's really basic of back to what we said. We need strong men in the world, and where do strong men come from? It's from strong father figures. And I think that is one of the problems that we're seeing in the world, is the erosion of the family tradition of the familial unit. And I just hope that I can one day be a father and be a good father and propagate the memes that I believe is the right way to move forward. And obviously that will include Bitcoin because we are Bitcoiners. And I don't really understand a lot of people that don't believe in like generational wealth. Like, bro, I do not. If I have kids, again, God willing, I do not want my kids to start at fucking zero like I did. Like, I want them to have a fucking head start. Yes, they will have to earn it. I saw this thing with like Shaq. He was like joking with his kids. His kids were like kind of trolling him about his money. He's like, "Yeah, we're rich, Dad." He's like, "No, no, no, no. Step back. I'm rich. You don't own fucking shit. Like you need to earn this." And I'm like, "Yeah, like that seems like the good way to go about stuff.
Yes.
Is like not
Yes.
have your children be entitled, but also like why should we as a society always have to start at zero again and everyone push fucking nothing up a hill? It's like, what's wrong with generational wealth? What's wrong with passing down an inheritance to your children so that they can live a better life than you did? Like that's what I've always been grown up. My mom's saying the same thing of like, um, everything I do is so that you live a better life than I did. And that's kind of how I view it. Like I want to be the father I never had. And I think more people kind of, if they're being honest with themselves, that's what is missing is like a strong father to tell you no, put your shit in your fucking place, get your shit together, get some discipline, have some respect for your elders, and fucking build something. Like become a valuable person in society. And this is on new stuff because obviously, like we talked about earlier, I've, for lack of better terms, I've been a degenerate my whole fucking life. And now I'm starting to wake up like, okay, hey, wow, I can actually become something of value. I can be a productive member of society instead of just completely opting out. And I think that has to do with the nihilistic nature of the fiat world is like, okay, do I want to partake in this broken system, become broken as well, because we all know like nurture nature. Yeah, you can grow up nurtured great, but if your nature or which one is it? You can grow up great because of your nature, but if you're nurturing and your environment is trash, then you're only going to be as good as your incentives and never go above what society wants. And so I think it's kind of back to just the basics of like, what do kids need to do? And look, as someone that hated authority, maybe I'm being hypocritical, but fucking listen to your dad for fuck's sake. Like he knows more than you, but also I think it's just basic, like, hard work, discipline, sacrifice, the same things, the same principles we talk about all the time that we do as Bitcoiners. Like, yo, you're going to have to work hard. You're going to probably have to do shit you don't want to do. You're going to have to be persistent. It's going to last a lot longer than you fucking think it will. But grunt your teeth, bite the cloth, and make it through fucking hell, because then you will become the person you're supposed to be. Forged through fire, you'll be the person that you need to be. And I'm still going through my own stuff, but like, again, God willing, I think that is what society needs right now. Is we need men, fathers that are that look like Greek gods, that are rich, that are respected within the family, that have good ideals, that aren't just snakes and thieves and basically plundering the earth. It's like I want to create a fucking empire of my bloodline. Like I'm trying to create an army of soldiers behind me that are also going to do the same thing, because hey, I don't know, I look around, I think it's never been easier to dominate, man. Like everyone is weak. So this is the time for people like us to shine. And obviously I'm still working through like, all right, am I even lovable? Can I actually get a wife? Can I actually, have children? I don't know, man. I'm trying to do the best I can. But like, I really think that's where it is. It's like,
100%.
it starts with strong fathers and them leading their families and teaching their children the correct money, the correct way to move through society, having manners and respect. And it's funny because I've been saying this. I'll call my mom every once in a while, and I'll joke with her. I'm like, "Dang, mom, like." You were right about a lot of shit. And I've been thinking about you guys all the time right now. And you know how I used to fight you a lot? Like, you were fucking right about a lot of stuff, and thank you for that. Like, it was Father's Day this last week, and I called my stepdad, and I'm like, man, thank you for everything. You really taught me a lot of life lessons that I'm using today, and I know I was an asshole, but like, I really appreciate it. And yeah, man, I don't know. I
That's
really
so
do
cool.
believe it's back to just the idea of like, we need men to lead. Like, you know, pick up your divine right to lead and fucking do something awesome, because we have that opportunity. I know it gets dark, it's nihilistic, pessimistic. The world is Rome. Rome is burning, but like, I don't know. I feel like we will be the phoenix through the ashes. Like, we can build a better world. And if it's crumbling around us, then what does that mean? That means there's more opportunity to create a better world. And, to create, you need to destroy. Well, the powers that be have destroyed a lot of stuff. So let's fucking create it and mold it and make a better world. And hey, fuck them all if they don't believe it, because good wins in the end. And so be it.
Let's go. Let's go, dude. With that attitude, I mean, you don't have to worry about anything, brother. Like, with that attitude, you will find the woman that you need, that's for sure, and you will build the family you're supposed to build. And
Appreciate it, bro.
man, we absolutely need more of that in life. That's 1000% certain. It made me think of Into the Breach, which is a YouTube series that the Knights of Columbus put out within the Catholic Church, and it's like 10 or 12 videos, and like 10 minutes long each, and it's all about fatherhood and masculinity, and it's phenomenal. I think I was like crying in every single episode. So I'll have to send it to you, and
Yeah, send it to me.
it's oh my gosh, each topic, it's like one of them's like, authentic masculinity, another one's leadership, another one's prayer, and just like basically, long story short, setting the example for your family, your children, and the world, and it's unbelievable, and it's just literally so moving. And it's if it wasn't true, I don't think it would move you like that, right? If it's not,
Yeah.
it wouldn't resonate with you. So it's like, clearly that's the answer. Like, that's what's needed in life if it's moving you that much. So I'll send it to you because it's unbelievable, and it makes me think of
Yeah. Yeah.
putting down your life and picking up your cross, right? And
Oof.
so much of life is we have it so good now. And I think you touched on this earlier too, which is this world we're in. Every generation probably for thousands of years has said this, but this probably is the most important time, because this exponential curve and technology in consumerism, materialism, and like comfort. This really is the hardest time, the best time, but also the hardest time, and the most important time in human history. We're really at this inflection point. So man, it just makes me think of all that, the men putting down their life to pick up the cross, which we know is the greatest thing you can do, right? The guys go off to the military or whatever, and you put your life down, lay your life down for your brothers. It's boy, again, we could go into this for hours and hours, and we will
Yeah, yeah,
as time
yeah.
goes on. But
We'll come back again. But you reminded me of the meme. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. I don't even know what book that's from. But also, again, back to what I was saying. I think whether I have a family or not, I think it's back to the idea of the world needs rightful leaders. Like, we need people
leaders, yep,
that are like not only leaders because they're in that position, but leaders that have like risen up through the ranks of like, this is why they are a leader, because of their character. And whether I am that or not, I don't fucking know. I would humbly say that I'm probably not that guy, but maybe that's why we're the right guys for the job, is because we're like, we don't want the fucking job. But I think the world
yep.
needs not only more people that are leaders of men, but also like leaders of themselves. And I think that's where the world is kind of falling, is everyone's a follower, and people are afraid of breaking the lines. And yeah, I used to be that as well, but now it's kind of like, I think I know what's fucking going on in the world. Let me just try to propagate those ideas. And hey, if I get crucified for it, then so fucking be it. This is my fate.
In good company. They're in good company. Right? Okay, so I know we've been rolling for a while here. So kind of in wrapping here, what do you think? And it could be, I'm gonna try to gear towards more Bitcoin a little bit, but we talked about one of the most important things for kids or people to kind of learn what is money. But what do you think one of the most important things for people to learn about Bitcoin, or like entering the space, maybe something like, again, like a lot of us shitcoined for a year or whatever it was when we got into Bitcoin? What's the thing you kind of knew? Because to me, the same thing. I'm like, wow, why didn't people explain to me Bitcoin in 2014, 15, 16 when I was first first hearing about it, no one explained it to me the right way. It was just kind of like, and it was like, if you told me it was like freedom and like all this stuff, and it was like why I was in gold and silver and all this other stuff, I would have got into it way sooner instead of 2018 or whatever. So what do you think is something important for people to, kind of learn about Bitcoin right away? And again, I know everyone's different, so that answer probably will vary. And then also, why are you so bullish? Which I know is one of your other superpowers. You are one of the most bullish men in the world. Maybe you and CK. I don't know who's more.
Well, that's good company. All right, let's start with what do I wish I knew or I wish other people knew. I think it is, as cliche as it is, it's like the importance of savings. I think a lot of people underestimate the importance of savings because like I'm trying to like bring this back into like a pragmatic sense of like, okay, if you're an entrepreneur, like what do you need to build whatever the fuck you need? Like you need capital, you need some kind of savings. And then furthermore, if you have no savings, man, like you're a slave to the paycheck and you can never say no. And it's like whatever you want to do, whether it's savings for your retirement, whether it's savings for, I don't know, whatever, material thing you want, or, saving for that trip or whatever, like you need to have a treasure chest of savings to not only put towards your entrepreneur ideas, but hey guys, I don't know if you've noticed, but being an adult's fucking expensive, bro. Like, and the world is getting more and more expensive, and you cannot save in the dollar. Like you need to save in something that doesn't get debased, something that increases in purchasing power over time. And obviously, as a Bitcoiner, I think the best way to save is by saving in Bitcoin. And this is something that I wish I knew coming into Bitcoin. It's not flashy. It's like, it's so cliche at this point. It's not like, it's not as exciting as like, oh, flipping this investment and I'm making all this kind of money. And like, yeah, I'm a, what is like a realtor, like I flip houses, bro, and I'm a millionaire. It's like, nah, it's not flashy. And of course, there's the meme in traditional financial world. It's like you can't save your way to being rich. That's true if you're saving in the dollar, but also, like you need to save in something, and preferably that something goes up in value. And so therefore you can start to alleviate the stress of normal life, because again, one of the things most people stress on is their income, their money. And once you start saving and you have a little nest egg and you can look around in the world and you can think clearly, you have what I like to call the Bitcoin Zen mentality, where you're like, okay, hey man, I can do anything in the world. And I really don't know how to explain savings in like a sexy way, except for like how I kind of tried to start it. Is like, you need savings to be an entrepreneur. Like you need savings to retire. You need to build something that you can store for the long run, that you can then go off and do whatever the fuck you want to do. Like we all have dreams, goals, and aspirations, and you need to have a treasure chest, a war chest, so that you can go out and fucking conquer. Every king of the past always had a war chest of gold just chilling, piled up. And I don't know what you think about yourself, but if you think of yourself highly, then you should save for your future. And again, I always bring this back to one of the most important books I think I read, besides like Economics in One Lessons, the Bitcoin Standard. And whatever self-help book that finally sparked the shit in my brain to make me realize that I need to work my fucking ass off was The Richest Man in Babylon. And that book forever changed my life, because I always bring it back down to the same thing they say in that book. And it's like, yeah, in the Bitcoin space, we have the meme of DCA, dollar cost average. It's the best way so you can avoid volatility, so you can build your stack over time. Yes, we all know that meme. But I really like the way that the Richest Man in Babylon put it. It's like, take 10%. And also like Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. Even though I'm not really a big fan of Robert Kiyosaki lately, because he seems to be like a pump and dumper shitcoiner, but he did say something that I think is very important, and Richest Man in Babylon also says it as well. It's this idea of pay yourself first. Whatever money's coming in, pay your future self first. Like, future you deserves a good life. Future you deserves money. Pay yourself fucking first, because no one else is going to pay you. And if you are a wage cuck, you are not going to get rich by working for another fucking person. So pay yourself first. You know, the banks will always come after their money. People that you owe debts to will always come after your money. And if you negotiate with them, you can work through a way of paying that off, but you can never not pay yourself first. This is fundamentally like the working idea is like, value yourself more, pay yourself first, take a little portion of your paycheck and hold that aside and never fucking touch it. Pay yourself first up front, because you are the most deserving person of your wealth, of your labor, of your time. And if you're not paying yourself first, man, what the fuck are you doing? You know, the richest man in Babylon says take 10% of all paychecks coming in, live within that 90% of the means, or 90% of your paycheck, live below your means. Fucking pay yourself first. If you are so able to, pay yourself a lot more than 10% first. Do like half of your paycheck, put it aside, fucking act broke, live at your parents' house for a few years. But then also it's this idea of not only are you going to need a savings, but you are going to also have to risk it all for the biscuit. And you know, I heard it the other day. It's like, work at your, if you hate what you're doing right now, work at your shitty job, whatever, save for 2 years, take a chance on yourself, and hopefully have enough saved up so that you can last 2 years. And if you do this correctly, you will be able to manifest whatever the fuck you want to do. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be uphill. It's going to be a fucking struggle. You got to be persistent. You got to, you know, avoid, you have to have delusional optimism about who you are, delusional self-confidence that you can do it. And it will fucking happen. Perception is reality, but it's really savings. Like, you need to have some kind of savings. Obviously, you want to eventually take that savings and push it towards something so that your capital, you know, grows upon itself and you build something of value and you build a business and all that other stuff. But you first start with some savings. You need to save. And then I forget what was the other part of the question?
Why are you bullish?
Oh yeah, why am I bullish?
Yeah.
Why am I bullish? Well, I think it kind of comes back to the meme. Bitcoin changes you, you don't change Bitcoin. And like I said, throughout this whole, you know, whatever, we're 2 hour rant that I've been doing here, basically with
Straight
you.
fire.
I say it all the time. If I can change, if Bitcoin can do this for me, then I know it can do it for anyone. You just have to trust the process, trust the blueprint. Like, it's laid out there. It's very fucking simple. Again, the meme, you know, hodling is easy, but it's hard. Like, the blueprint is easy, but it's hard to fulfill. It's hard to go through with it. Like, it's not fucking as easy as walking through, you know, sunflowers. Like, I'm a huge fan of Nipsey Hussle. I love Nipsey Hussle. I think he's one of the best rappers ever. Rest in peace. One of my friends jokingly says, like, man, I can only listen to someone fucking telling me how to live life and build my business up. I'm like, that's why I love him. Like, he gives you the keys. He gives you the game. But anyways, he says in one of his lines, and I don't remember the song, but he says like no one will know the long nights, like the nights where I cried, the nights where I doubted myself, the nights of pain where I didn't even know this would work out. Like, no one will ever know or understand those dark nights of the soul. And I don't expect them to, nor do I really want them to. But like, you know what you went through, and you know the pain that you had to go through to transform, to metamorphose into the butterfly from the caterpillar. And it's like, there is no shortcut in this shit. So if it can happen for me, I know it can happen for anyone else. And then, of course, understanding just how simple economics works. Well, it's like, look, if our purchasing power is going up, if we have a hard cap currency that no longer can be debased, that there's no more parasitic class that is stealing their wealth, distributing some portion of the wealth into their own pockets, then humanity will become more prosperous moving forward. And I'm always hopeful of the future. I'm team human. I think humans are the greatest and the most evil, you know, animal on planet Earth. But I always lean into like, man, we're so fucking good. Like, humans are awesome. I love humans. I love interacting with people, even though I do need alone time. I'm like, Too much, too much. I'm just bullish on humanity, bro. Like I really do believe, like I ask people this all the time, and I know it's kind of a bad meme, but like I really do kind of think that like Bitcoin in some sense is like divine intervention. Like I don't know, I can't not
I
think
do
of
too.
this.
Yep.
Obviously it is working through humans. Obviously
Yep.
Satoshi or who Satoshi was, the group of them are obviously men, but I
Well,
still
like the
believe,
founders believe
yeah,
those
exactly.
documents were divinely inspired, right? So similar,
Exactly.
same,
Like I kind of have this meme that I propagate with my friends. It's like I just download Divine Thought and I think other men download Divine Thought and then we just try to propagate, divine thoughts and make this world a better place. And I really do believe that Bitcoiners are doing their best to make the world a better place. Yes, we fight. Yes, we bicker. Yes, some of the Bitcoiners don't know what the hell they're doing, and they probably are ushering in a world that they're not going to be so happy about, and they think it's going some other way. But I really do believe in the free market of ideas. I really do believe in free markets in general, and I think entrepreneurs are what changed the world. And when I look back at history, I look back and what do I see? I don't see a collective consciousness of people changing the world. I see very principled, strong individual men that the world bends around. And I think this is kind of what we're seeing happen in real time with Bitcoin is entrepreneurs, Bitcoiners, privacy minded individuals are creating the tools that are literally shaping the future of humanity. And I just know the ignition, the fire starter that Bitcoin was for me. And I think if it can do it for me, it can do it for everyone. And I think that if humanity is firing at its highest potential, at its full capacity, then the future is going to be fucking beautiful. Because I just remember before Bitcoin, in the fiat world, I wouldn't say I had depression, but I was depressed. I think I was firing at like, I don't know, 40-60% of my potential. And now with Bitcoin, I feel like I'm not even at like 100% yet. I'm maybe at like 85, 87, maybe even less, maybe like 79. I don't know, 90%. Like
hmm
I just think there's something about it. Like Bitcoin is the great motivator. And not only is it the great motivator, but it clears the fog of the lens of perception. And you start to look at the world in a different way. And you start to look at the world clearly. And I think if everyone individually looks at the world clearly and every single one of us is looking at what we are doing and trying to be the best version of themselves, then how can you not be bullish on humanity, especially when you understand that as economies, as technology grows, like the price of tomorrow, technology
Yes.
is deflationary. So as society improves, we all get richer as a whole. Society becomes richer because of the actions of few individuals. And am I those entrepreneurs? Like, I don't think so, because I'm no Edison or Tesla, I'm no Steve Jobs or any of that. I just understand, like, I can take what smart people say and I break it down for the dumb person or the average person. I don't want to degrade anyone. I think that's my superpower. It's like I'm smart. I say it all the time. I'm left side of the right side of the bell curve. I'm smart enough to know what the smart guys are talking about, but I am stupid enough to like have a personality and be able to talk to normal people. Like Bitcoin is filled with a bunch of autists, and you can tell they don't know how to communicate with people. They that's one of the signs of
So
being
true.
autistic is like you don't know how to relate with people. I love you guys. For better or worse, this is where we at. But I'm just so bullish on Bitcoin because it's going up forever, Laura. Like hard cap currency that all value in the world accrues to means that as a whole, society gets richer. What's the sailor meme? It's like a battery that never degrades never wastes electricity. And it's like if
Yeah.
we can
No
store,
entropy.
exactly, if we can
Yeah.
store all of human labor and time moving forward, and there's no parasite that is able to steal from that, there is no waste of purchasing power moving forward, and it just continuously climbs and builds on top of each other, then I just picture the future that was robbed from us that we read in sci-fi books. It's like You know, like we're going to be living in a cleaner, more beautiful, more fair world. And to me, that's like, I think that's what all of us really want. And that's what everyone fights for, is how do we live in a better, fairer, more prosperous world? And I just think there's some people that are mistaken, and they don't have the right way to coordinate society, because they think there needs to be a certain person or persons in the middle to control all this, because they don't have faith in humanity. I am not that person. I have full faith in humanity. I think humans are great. I think if you put humans in the right situation, the right environment, that humans will choose to be better people. They will do the best. They will do the right thing. But so far, we haven't been given that. And I think that we see this play out in a microcosm with Bitcoiners. Obviously, there's scammers, there's shitcoiners, there's people that are just trying to get by, get a buck, get over on other people. But I think as a whole, something inside you just like, yo, this is bigger than me. But in that same token, I have to be the best version of me. And I don't know. I really, that's the stuff that gets me the most excited. And this is why I'm so bullish. And this is why I do the culture on Simply Bitcoin, because the psychology aspect, the societal change aspect of Bitcoin is the thing that really gets me excited. Like Nico's really big in, like geopolitics. There's other people that are very big in the technical aspect and, coding or the energy aspect. And to me, the thing that gets me most excited is how humans interact moving forward. And that stuff is like, wow, wait, it's the meme like, thank you, Bitcoin, you changed my life. And it's like, guys, I'm literally just a ledger. Like, what are you talking about? But like, there's something about Bitcoin that reorganizes human society for the better.
Aligning those incentives, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And that's the shit that gets me excited. And again, maybe I'm just stupidly bullish and stupidly naive on humans. I'm team human. I think humans, not to get like too religious again, but I got pretty religious this whole thing. Like, I really do believe that humans are in many respects playing a game to try to reach to their highest, most divine self. And we just haven't been in an environment that allows for that to happen. What we've been living in is a society that incentivizes us to live at our lowest base animalistic level. And as someone that has been on that low level and just tried to get by, I'm starting to realize like, wow, maybe there is a better way, and maybe it is just fixing the money, and maybe there is something that can incentivize everyone to reach their highest potential. Like we were told when we were children, you can be anything you want to be. And then reality fucks everything up and smashes over the head. And you're like, yeah, you ain't shit. Like, you're never going to be shit. You're never going to have shit. Like, take this fiat money and be fucking happy with your Netflix and your video games and your fucking, drugs and alcohol and all the distractions, the bread and circuses. And now I'm like, holy shit. Like, we can actually change this. And that is what just gets me bullish, like obviously number goes up. I want to live a better life. I'm not ashamed to say that I'm a capitalist and I want more money and I want to build wealth and I want to pass on wealth, but I'm really believe in trying to do this in the best, most principled way possible. Like I am a student of truth with a capital T, and I want to know the true nature of reality. And I think if other people consciously or subconsciously, unconsciously, align themselves with Bitcoin, they align themselves with truth, and they will become the best versions of themselves. And I just get excited about that, man. I'm like, dude, we are reorganizing society for the better. Like, how can you not be bullish? Like, fuck all you guys. Like, good wins in the end, motherfuckers. This is uncontentious. We know this is how it works. So yes, I think it's just reorganizing society that gets me really excited. And, the separation of money and state. I'm very, very convinced of the idea of the parasitic class, like the unproductive class. They have siphoned away and stolen our future. And this is us telling them, go fuck yourself, provide some value to the market, or else you don't deserve your fucking scarves and your yachts and your big ass house, because all of us simpletons are working our fucking ass off and we're barely getting crumbs. Now, if you even that shit out, natural meritocracy. And I know a lot of people don't like meritocracies, but hey, I think that means they got to work. They got to work. Exactly. And your results prove whether you are working smart or not. And it's a scary, scary, scary road that we really are working towards for a lot of people, because I don't know, maybe people didn't grow up with the same upbringing where we were told you can be anything and that anything is possible. And, you are a member of this family and you are great. And so go out there and propagate those memes and be the greatest version of yourself. I don't, maybe we're just blessed that we had a great upbringing and we both align by the same honor code,
Right.
honor system. That's like, oh shit, okay, there's other people out here that believe like I am, whether you're the same color as I am, whether you're the same religion as I am, whether you live in the same country as I am. I think humans fundamentally have an honor code. And now we're all realizing like, oh shit, we're a lot more alike than we are together. Why don't we coordinate? Why don't we cooperate? Why don't we build on top of the shit that is already here instead of just trying to tear everyone down and tear everyone else's shit down? It's like, no, this is my property. You have your property, you build on your property, and all of our property improves over time and society gets better. And we live literally, what's we live on Eden on planet Earth again. We go back into the garden and live in a fucking beautiful world. Obviously, it's utopic, but I really do believe if you incentivize the structure of society towards the best, humans will act the best. And this is what makes me the most bullish. It's like, if I can change, so can you. And if that just keeps going, then the world's going to be a better place. And I don't have children yet, but I want to leave a good world. I want to make the world better than before. I think that's, I don't know, it might be my upbringing, but I really do believe in the idea of like trying to leave people better than before I got there. Do I fail? Obviously, I'm not perfect. I have my my temper tantrums and my annoyances, and I'm only human, but I try to do my best to leave a positive impact on everything I do and everyone around me. And I think that's part of also doing that on a societal level. I think that's important. So that's what I'm bullish, man. Just changing the world.
Incredible stuff, man. Well, I mean, you're definitely doing your part. Let's just say that. And one day at a time, you show up every day, put the work in, and that's indisputable at this point. So I appreciate more than anything. And everyone, watching, listening, you can see why his name is Optimist Fields. So if the last 2+ hours,
hold on. It's one of those things of like, again, back to Nipsey Hussle. I'm just trying to live up to my name, bro. I'm just trying to live up to the ideal.
It was subconscious.
Of what
you named yourself that purposely. Yeah, that's all part of it. That's all part of it, dude. Unbelievable stuff, man. Unbelievable stuff. I can't wait to do this again at some point, and we could go into so many different avenues for literally hours. In wrapping, what are you fired up? Like, what are you guys working on? Anything you're working on right now, or is it just simply Bitcoin with you and Nico? Is there anything you guys are working on that you guys are fired up about? And where can people find you?
Yeah, well, I'm just most fired up about Simply, bro. Like, this is I've dedicated everything towards Simply, but actually, two-part answer. I think what I'm most fired up about is like making myself into the best version of myself. Obviously using Simply as that vehicle, I keep saying I'm like this close to having abs, bro. Like I'm like, I gotta lose that last 5 pounds or 3 pounds. And I'm like, first time in my life that I almost have abs. And I'm like, dude, like I am sculpting myself into that Greek god that I've always thought I am. And I'm like this close to, getting my body to like peak physical condition. Also just like understanding how the world works and getting my mind in that position. It's like really what I say all the time of I'm really most excited of like, I feel like, I'm like this close to getting not only like my body right, but my mind right. And it's like, I'm like this close to fucking doing everything I've ever wanted to do. And it's just like, keep grinding. It's a marathon, not a sprint. But back to like a more pragmatic, it's just simply, bro, just like, I want to become the best broadcaster I can be. I want to become the best journalist I can be. I want to understand how to, continue to dominate on YouTube, like figure out the tools that we have to propagate the memes, figure out, how to be the best on Twitter, like understanding social media and communication to an extent where it's just undeniable. Like, yes, like we know how this works, and making Simply Bitcoin into one of those big media companies that I've always dreamed of, something that can, rival Bitcoin Magazine, maybe even get as big as what like Vice Magazine used to be in the early days when it was actually cool and it didn't get corrupted. Something of like that magnitude where it's like, okay, we are ubiquitous with what's cool and what is popular. And,
Like
I hate to
valuetainment.
say
Yeah,
a
love
valuetainment. I hate to
beauty.
say
Yep.
like, mainstream, but like I want us to be fucking, maybe not on the same level as like Joe Rogan or something, but something of like that type of like, you guys are a media fucking company that is undeniably great and people want to tune in. You help people live a better life. You help other people get up onto a better life and not pull the ladder up behind us. Like
Yes.
help other people grow and do their own thing as well, because each one teach one, and we're all walking each other home. And so that's what I'm most excited about. We have built a pretty cool company ethos under us. We have a small team. We're a lean, mean media machine. And it's just like showing up every single day, trying not to burn out, become a better broadcaster, make sure that I'm, still at True North and spreading the signal and getting more people holding Bitcoin. Basically, self-sovereignty and taking personal responsibility and just spreading all the stuff that we know to be true. It's like, man, it's a beautiful world out there, and I want to be a part of the beauty of the world and not just the negativity and the evil of the world. It's like, I really do believe, planet Earth was given to us to be our paradise, and now let's make it so. And just trying to be as productive a person as I can be. Honestly, on like a lower level, I'm happy of being a productive member of society. This is the first time in my life, man. This is new to me.
Simple
This
things.
is new to me. And, hopefully, again, God willing, I don't think I'm there yet, but soon enough, maybe, build a family. I'd love to see little me's run around and, again, I think it's just back to like the American dream, the white picket fence, I think is still alive. And it's mainly because of Bitcoin. We said it all the time in the past. You and I have had this conversation many times of like, Bitcoin is the American dream, encrypted in mathematics or however sailor point you want to say. Like, it gives us the promise that was stolen from us as our children. And I don't know, that's what makes me hopeful. That's what's guiding me. That's what's keeping me up. So this is what I'm beating my head again. This is all I'm thinking about, is just how do I become, not only the best version of myself, whether that's mentally, physically, but also the best communicator, someone that understands how the algos work, fighting fire with fire. We are living in a technical digital world. We live in a world that is not going to never have the internet. So I want to use the tools at our disposal to the best of our abilities and, help other people get to a better life, because I think that's all we're fundamentally doing here. People want to live a good life. I think we have the fucking answer, and only time will prove that we are correct. So, I'm sick and tired of all the talking heads talk about the problems. Let's talk about the solutions and give people the tools to live a better life. Like, that's what we're at right now. And so this is what I want to do.
Incredible stuff, brother. My goodness. Where can people find you?
Yeah. Well, I am on Simply Bitcoin Monday through Friday on YouTube. I host the Twitter Spaces, Simply Bitcoin TV. As of now, it's Simply Bitcoin TV. We're still trying to get that Simply Bitcoin on Twitter, but Elon needs to nuke all those old accounts. So maybe we'll be Simply Bitcoin on Twitter soon, but we're Simply Bitcoin on Simply Bitcoin TV on Twitter. We're on Anchor, Simply Bitcoin. But if you want to follow me, I'm on Twitter at Optimist Fields. I just updated my Twitter because it used to be complicated. Now it is at Optimist Fields. That's where I'm at, bro. I do have a Noster, but
I'll throw it in there. Don't worry about it.
I don't even know the XPub or the NPub or whatever it is.
I'll get it from you.
I'm barely on social media, so like just catch me on YouTube, Simply Bitcoin. Catch me in Spaces.
Come join the Spaces.
The Twitter account is Simply Bitcoin TV, is where we do most of the work. I mean, I'll start to get better at going back to my own personal Twitter account, but for now, it's just
a lot going on.
Simply, bro. It's Simply.
Yep. Hey, stay on the mission.
Oh wait, right? also, we'll see how long this goes, but I do BK, Bitcoin Kindergarten, every Wednesday. Well, some Wednesdays when I feel like it. It's more comedy. It's more just like loose.
Yeah, riffing and stuff.
It's a lot of shit talking. I don't know. We'll see how long that lasts, because the ROI is not the best, and I'm probably gonna blow up my own shit. So do not hold me to things there. This is comedy. But yeah, no, the serious is Simply Bitcoin. That's my baby. That's like
Yep.
what I'm putting all my effort in is Simply Bitcoin, and making that into something that we can be proud of.
I appreciate you more than you know, dude. Appreciate you coming on here, Opti.
Appreciate it.
Just boy, brothers in arms,
Yeah.
and the peaceful revolution, peaceful fight. And I just appreciate you coming on and imparting all this wisdom and knowledge on us and spurring us on because we need it.
Well, hey man, I've been doing this a lot longer than I've been doing it in Bitcoin. In the past, I would do this to my friends because I was a philosopher. I'm like, I got the answers, bro. But now I think I really do have the answers, and it's not a hubris take either. It's just like I don't hear people talking about this much, and if not me, then who? If not you, then who? Like,
Mhm.
you are the individual, whether you believe it or not. You're in a position, you have your own skills, you have your own abilities. If we weren't unique snowflakes in the universe, like, why would you need to be created? Like, you were created for a
Right.
reason. And now I'm just trying to lean into that. Like, I'm really doing my
Well
best
said.
to just like lean into the fact that I do have something unique to offer the world. And do I know what that is all the time? No, not really. I've been humble for too long. Now it's like, let's just fucking snet it. Let's
Confident,
have fun.
confidently humble.
Confidence,
Yes.
exactly.
Yep.
It's like humble now is like something about having self-confidence, but also um understanding like I'm not above criticism.
Yes.
if you
Knowing
if you
what you don't
come
know. Yeah.
exactly like
Yeah.
if that's hey, full circle. The only reason I fell in love with philosophy is because I read Plato, and they said that Socrates was the wisest person of Athens for one simple meme: I know that I know nothing.
Yeah.
And I am moving
Yes. There you
forward
go.
with this. And the only thing I really know is the first principles of Bitcoin, and the pillars of truth that I hold dear to, and my family and my friends that I know love me. And I'm just like, hey, bro, if I go down, hopefully it's in a blaze of glory, and it was worth it because I tried. That's all that matters, is
Oh
trying,
man.
man.
Brothers from another mother. Inspiring, dude. Inspiring. I'm trying not to go run out of here with my shield. So, boy, oh boy.
Let's
Appreciate it,
go.
man.
Now, appreciate you, dude.
Thanks, Opti. Take care.
Holy cow. Holy cow. I hope you enjoyed that. Opti and I didn't even plan to go that long, but he was on a different level today. I've known Opti for a while now, for almost a year, and he can go on rants, he can talk, and he's, like I said in the beginning, he is incredibly smart. But he even surprised me numerous times throughout this, and I learned so much from him. I can't wait to go back and watch this over again, and in rewind and watch it over and over again, because I learned so much from him, and I do every day on his spaces on Simply Bitcoin. And they come in, him and Nico do their show, and then they have the spaces afterward, and I advise you, I implore you to go check out their content, go check out their articles, go check out their YouTube videos. They have such phenomenal content, and their whole team there is phenomenal. So please go check them out. You're not going to regret it. They're some of the smartest people out there, and young to boot, which makes you feel very good about the future and what's happening. So I really hope you enjoyed Optimist Fields, one of my good friends as well in this space, someone that I can call a true friend, and someone that does, again, like many of the people we talk to, feel like a brother in arms, a brother from another mother, a person that I've known my entire life, even though I met them in the last year. And this is truly what happens in the Bitcoin space. The ethos, like Opti talks about here, the ethos, kind of the handshake culture, and what Bitcoin does to you. You don't change Bitcoin, Bitcoin changes you. And Opti is a true testament to that. So I hope you enjoyed this. Please let me know who else you would like to see in the future going on. But please let me know your comments, your thoughts, questions you might have on anything you saw here today, and something we can ask Opti in the future. So we're going to have him back on the future, and he's going to have me on, he said, in their show, and we're going to have him back on here as well. So I appreciate you tuning in. Please share this out, because the algorithm truly does hate truth. It hates truth. So please share us out, because we are the best and only defense we have for our liberty and our freedom against out of control despots and tyrannical governments. So I appreciate you, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.